Welcome, my friends and enemies. Glad you are here. We have another episode. I don't even have anything else I can really add to that. I am joined with by, I think that's how I'm joined with by, or joined by, or joined with, whatever, Sage and Matt. How you doing, Sage? Muted.
I mean, I've had better days, let's
He's
say.
a European. He has a bad day. Um, Matt, how about you? You feeling better?
Well, I just had the dentist come to my house, and that still feels better than the stupid show.
I mean,
Did they come to your house?
I didn't know dentists went to people's houses.
Yeah, apparently I guess in the COVID era, there's a lot of home services now. I'm disabled, so I
Yeah.
found a dentist that would come to my house. So
I bet that's expensive. Frick.
it's less expensive than $1,500 it would cost me a medical transportation to go to the dentist.
Jeez.
Damn.
Yeah. Don't envy that one. Nor the pricing. But anyway, we have episode 4 of season 3 of The Wheel of Time, and
No, the wheel of crime, because it steals from the proper. It's a fucking ripoff.
I don't know. I
So-
feel like The Wheel of Lies would be better, more apt. It's like, because the reason I think it's more of The Wheel of Lies is because you know what they say about, truth and lies. It's just like, every good lie has, a bit of truth in it. And I feel like that's what this episode really was. Like, the episode was a very much, there's a lot of book source stuff. Like, it's all kind of like right there, but then occasionally they'll get that little dip where they just toss in this like random thing here and there. So it's like, it's kind of like, hey, I baked you a cookie. And I'm going to reference a Beardo joke if anybody's familiar. I can't hear you, Sage, but yeah.
Yeah, I disagree.
This random shiny orb that was all of a sudden in the tree.
Yeah, that I don't know what that is. But no, like, so imagine if someone's like, I
We do know
baked you a cookie, but I sprinkled poop all over it.
Yeah, please don't do that.
You're going to be like, man, this is the best cookie we've ever had, is basically what we're being told by basically everyone in the Wheel of Time communities and stuff. There's obviously those of us who are just like, no. I mean, just because they did something half decent does not mean they get the benefit of everything.
I will be as objective as I can say, if Robert Jordan had died in Vietnam, and if we never wrote The Wheel of Time, and they still made this show, the show would still suck. This episode would be okay.
Yeah. But here's the thing. If this wasn't related to Wheel of Time at all, and Wheel of Time never existed, and this show was put out, it would still be bad because the writers are bad.
Yeah.
The directing is bad. Like, there's a lot of bad things just inherently in the show.
The only thing that doesn't really
from
suck,
Wheel of Time.
The actors I haven't been given much to work with, but some of them, a lot of them are good actors who are just coasting along. You know what I mean?
Well, things like Avienda with her attitude's only ever directed at Rand in the books. But she has it for everyone. She's trying to bite off everyone's head, apparently, except Elaine.
The writers for this show don't understand that Rand is like, what was the word? Like Avienda has a sort of complex about certain issues, and Rand is a convenient target. You know what I mean?
But I understand that for Rand. It's not just Rand. It's literally everyone. It's Lan, it's Moraine, it's the wise ones. Like, I mean, I get the whole, like, the wise ones come in and they, blah, 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 and she becomes a wise one apprentice eventually. But I'm saying in terms of, like, whenever her attitude comes into play in the show, it's over every little thing. Like, did you trip over a pebble? Sets her off. Did you,
because the show
did you drink more than a thimble of water? Sets her off. Did you draw a picture of a sword? Sets her off. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just it sets her off, and I'm like, okay, just because there's the stereotype of redheads have trigger happy freaking tempers, that's not how the Aiel operate. There are specific ones like Couladin that they get set off. Like how Avienda's behaving, I would imagine how Couladin would behave. Well, that's an insult to the book Avienda, quite frankly.
But these show writers don't understand Avienda's character journey.
Yeah, but I don't think it's the writers. I think it's the director. because the director's telling them like, you can get words on a piece of paper, and that word on the piece of paper can say this is what's going to happen in the scene.
Well, for all
But
practical
how you
purposes.
behave during that scene is going to be on the directors, not on the
Yeah.
writers.
But the writer, the director, for all practical purposes, is a writer. So the
Probably.
director rewrites stuff on the fly all the time.
Yeah, but I'm saying
the
like
structure
how
of
the
the
director
episode,
wants them to do it is going to be more impactful than just a room full of writers.
but it's going to be within the structure of the written script, is what I'm saying. So at the end of on this horrible TV show journey for what, 3 seasons now, 2.5 seasons, and
Avienda, she wasn't in
yeah,
until second season.
was it? I thought it was the end of the first season, but it could be second, whatever.
No, she was she. She was in the cage.
In either case,
That was
okay.
Fall, so that was second season. Never mind. Yeah, she's
In either case, like she's been
Yeah, it
on
was
this journey of, she's been on this
no,
journey in the
actually,
show
right, a bit before
where
Farm.
she's just an angry bitch at everyone, and that's not the character in the book. Obviously, we know that, and
she's actually
so fine.
extremely nice and polite, ironically. But
Well, even when she was angry, she was always polite.
Well,
yeah,
except around.
that's what I'm saying. Like it was only targeted at Rand. I mean, she might get upset by the wise ones, like she'd be stubborn or resisting them. But then eventually, she just kind of gives in and is just like, you can see her
With
kind of
Rand,
deflate.
with Rand, it would be like I hate to use the example. Everyone said I would for Naruto. How Aruka Sensei would behave with Naruto. Like she'd explode eventually on Rand. You know what I mean? Because she was trying to teach him from the beginning, right? Because in part of
Yeah,
her
but
heart,
she also wasn't being charitable in any shape or form either. So,
well, she wasn't capable of that at that time.
well, no, she was capable. It's just because of her feelings for him or towards him, also combined with how she thought Elaine needed to be like
No,
his number one target.
that's still too far ahead. In terms of the novels, okay. Remember, Rand had lost Aiel child essentially. Okay,
Yes.
so the Aiel culturally would want to try to teach him something by their
Yeah,
nature.
that's not my thing. I'm talking about her behavior towards Rand. It's because she has feelings for him. Same thing as like Min, where Min's like, I didn't sign up to have feelings
Well,
for you, and
eventually,
that's
what
in the
I'm saying
books. It
is,
says I never planned to fall in love with you, but I did.
what I'm
And
saying is, eventually that matters. But what first matters
well,
is,
I know it eventually matters because it eventually comes to fruition. What I'm saying is that the seeds were planted basically from Ruidion.
well, but even before Ruidian, there's layers of her relationship with Rand that started with him being, her like maybe wanting to, how do I put it, teach him the way and seeing he doesn't know the way, so to speak.
Yeah,
And
but
then you
that
get
didn't happen
to,
until she became a Wise One Apprentice, though.
it's a cultural thing,
Well,
you know.
I know, but like things, a lot of the time he would ask Ruark stuff, like when they were traveling before Ruidion, because he's like, what am I expecting? What's it going to be like? And Ruark would tell him the best he could, but he wouldn't tell him obviously things about Ruidion and stuff like that's Wise One business. But when it comes to things like Avienda teaching him stuff, did not happen until after Ruidion, and at that point,
But she would want to. You see, this is what you're imagining. It's her nature. It's our relationship with Rand started in our head before she even got any relationship with him. As soon as she knew him, remember the Kakaran is prophesized, right? So they all have in their head this image of the prophesized future leader of the Aiel, right? So then the Dragon Reborn comes along. Before she even has any personal relationship with him, she's forming a mental relationship with him and evaluating him as, well, he's Aiel but not Aiel, blah blah blah. Like there's a layering of her relationship with him that builds up like an onion, and then when you get
she's
past,
an ogre.
when you get past like let's say book 8 or so, right, it starts getting peeled back, and then she becomes mature and loving, and you know what I mean.
I don't
Like
think it takes
there's
till
a,
book 8, does it?
there's a layer of psychosis in there. I can't, in my head, books like 3 through 10 are jumbled
I
together.
think it was
You
like
know what I mean?
book 5, I think.
Yeah, like it builds, the negativity builds at each layer part of the relationship, and then bit by bit it gets peeled back as she falls into a deeper trusting relationship with him, as she becomes mature on her own. She goes on her character journey.
I enjoy her character arc, but my point
Yeah,
is that what what we would expect her to behave as, like based on the books, is not how she behaves in this.
We're all agreed on that.
She behaves more like a Shido than she does.
We're
Tardat.
all agreed on that. It's like there's no. We're not going to debate that.
I'm just saying, like her vitriol towards Rand in the show does not even slightly relate or imply the same type of anger towards him, because she doesn't actually hate him, but she says she hates him.
Yeah. So the show writer, the horrible show writer and director, since you want to include him, they know she has some sort of issues with him from the book, but don't understand them. So they just turn her into an angry bitch.
Honestly, I don't think they know. I think they just decided we want to be her to be anti-Rand.
Well, no, they probably got like an outline of the books of the characters,
No.
So Ray probably wrote at the end. It acts like a bitch towards Rand. That's all he wrote on his name.
Well, I mean, yes, but I don't think it's because of the books. I think it's just because they want her to be pro Elaine but anti Rand. Because as everyone has to go on crazy tangents online, you can't have polygamy. It only is polyamory. It's just like,
as soon as I saw that happening, I fast forwarded.
But it's all stupid in that regard. But let's go ahead and pop into this and enjoy watching this train wreck in slow motion.
It's the best scene in the whole episode.
Joy. I'm not sure that's the words you want to use here.
So we got Lan and Rand doing stuff, talking about the Flame and Void, which was kind of nice, I suppose. It was nice to see that we have,
Yeah, that it exists.
The Flame and Void exists, but the fact that it hasn't been mentioned until now is a bit weird, considering Lan's been teaching him how to use it for how long now?
Also, in this scene, Lan says to Rand, "You will never be a blade master if you just keep sitting around or stuff." But
yeah, you'll never be a blade master if you keep taking breaks, being lazy.
By virtue of beating Turok
with the one power.
Well, technically, this line should have happened in Shinar. So this is like it's like they forgot about it, made the season, and they're like, "Oh shoot!" They're like, "Let's throw this out." And it's like, but beating a blade master by definition makes you a blade master. So he's already a blade master. Granted,
so as long as he blows all his opponents up with the one power, he's a blade master.
Granted, in this universe, he's not a blade master explicitly because he didn't challenge Turok to a blade master duel and beat him with blades. He just went.
But wait, he got the lessons from what's his name in the hospital?
Who? Logain?
No, the old guy who had PTSD for the
Ingtar?
He got the power lesson from Logain.
No,
the
I'm
guy we're taking
sure.
care of. What's his face? Yeah, I know what you mean.
In the hospital.
Oh yeah. Well, he was taught forms. It doesn't make him a blade master.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, it's like a non-blade master, like a student of a blade master would have the knowledge of the forms. It's just
if he beat him.
Yeah, I beat a disabled guy. I'm a blade master.
I mean,
this Rand, I could see doing it because he's a trash Rand.
They should do a flashback. The last lesson from the old guy is, and remember, just when you're about to fight, blow him up with the one power, and that's cool.
If you kill him without a blade, you can still become a blade master.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're doing this whole weird dancing
training thingy.
Yeah, and then Moraine just stares at them with disdain.
Okay, go back.
Yeah, she's just
right there,
like the past 3 episodes or so.
You can see there is no combat choreography because Rand's feet are narrower than his shoulders.
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
His right foot is behind his left foot, to be fair.
No, but if your feet are narrower than your shoulders, you're easier to knock you off balance.
Well, again, one foot's further.
It doesn't really look like that's the case.
And he's also just getting up from a break, so I'm like I'm not going to be that pedantic. I am also notoriously not a blade master. So.
No, but at this point, he should know the basics of it. So whoever's choreographing,
well, he should, yes, but the show doesn't know that. And that's the point.
Yeah.
Is we have to kind of deal with it. Moraine, who hates everything, or I don't know. Are you guys familiar with the YouTube channel Adam Hates It or Adam Ruins Everything?
Yeah,
of course. Yes.
Okay, so this is Moraine Ruins Everything edition. She hates everything. She has weird plots in her head. similar to she did in the books, but at least in the books they made sense. Hers don't make sense at all. Godforsaken ugly ring still there. And then you have Egwene looking like she's an assassin or something. I don't freaking know what the point of
isn't
her,
she?
I guess. And then we have Egwene with, I think it's Amis. This lady.
One of them is Amis.
Well, she's supposed to be Amis, but apparently she's like Amis mixed with bear. So she might be going by bear. She's supposed to be Amis because Ruark's wife is Amis, not bear.
No, I think she's called Amis at some point.
I don't remember that part, but it's supposed to be Amis and Mullane. And
Put the subtitles on, and they'll show when you talk.
Well, they are on. They just haven't talked. Wise ones have servants. They are Guy Shine, which they butchered horribly. Mullane does not strike me as Mullane from the books because she's not fiery, like sparkly, sassy. She's just dead inside. It's just like.
Well, you would be too if you had to act in the show.
I mean,
I guess,
for one, her hair's not fiery red. It's just kind of red, like slightly. And
they only had a red hair dye for Avienda.
Yeah, and Avienda's faded out, so they're like, well, there goes our budget. But no, everyone's like, Avienda's actress does have red hair. I'm like, you were freaking blind. That is brown hair as brown gets. But anyway, we're going, like, here's Mullane, and it looks soulless. Like, even when she delivers the line she's supposed to, where she tells Moraine about having to go to Ruidion and everything.
So the eyes really don't help the soulless case.
Yeah, but she doesn't look alive. She looks dead inside. And that's my thing is that Mullane's fiery. Like she'll go, huh? She's like, Mullane's a tsundere. That's what Mullane is. Mullane is very much a tsundere. Like, she doesn't care about you, but she really does. She doesn't want to let you know that she cares about you. And then, you know, like she's got a spark to her, but she doesn't have that. But so when she's delivering her lines of dialogue to Moraine, it's kind of just dead inside. She's like, "Oh no, I've said too much." I'm like, "What are you, a mannequin?"
Oh no, I said too much.
And then
I haven't said enough now.
Moraine's too stupid. They even said on a line wrong multiple times. It was really irritating.
Yeah, no, the pronunciation swaps all over the place doing this, right?
Yeah, you think they would have somebody teaching them how to say the phrases.
So Radiant is pronounced differently.
Hand out Robert Jordan's pronunciation guide.
Couladin at some point is called Cladin, which is...
It's because they take the O and the U and just slap them together. But it's like, you should not have been told. I'm like, that's a good line. Because it's the line in the books. And she at least has somewhat Amis's behavioral, like how her personality and her behavior, but she's way too old looking. Like, Amis has a younger looking appearance with white hair. Like, she's not super old. She, like, at most she's in her 40s, right? Like, that's how she
because they are Aes Sedai. Well, some of them.
Well, they're
specifically
one power users. One power users look younger than their counterparts that are not. But they picked somebody who's really freaking old, apparently. This lady's probably in her freaking 50s or 60s.
They should have just gotten a young person and dyed the hair white, right?
And Egwene walking around freaking...
I suppose that might bring to mind anime characters a bit too much.
Egwene walking around wearing breeches and stuff is just really annoying.
Yeah.
Because her haircut, which is not her haircut in the book, it's like she's trying to be Min. The Min that was in the books. Keep in mind, Egwene in this series is more like Min from the books than Min in the series. That's
a choice.
I almost guarantee you that Rand is having no romance with any of the actual 3 characters he has any romance with, but they're going to keep him with Egwene to the end of the show.
No, we're pairing, right?
Well, Min's already been like, I already like him, but she hasn't shown any interest in going near him. Like Min would. Min's always like, I need to get to Rand. I need to get to Rand. I need to get to Rand. Yep. And she's always looking for a route to get to Rand, but she's always swept into something else against her will. So in this situation, and the reason she swept away is because they're saying, if you want to help him, here's how you help him. and he's like,
In-
curse you,
In the
sheep herder.
books, I'm trying to remember in the books. Wasn't what's his face? They already had the caravan with what's his face with them, and Rand was running the
Yes.
one
Yeah,
power.
they met them.
You're talking about Kadir?
No, that's after Ridian. When they go to Cold Rock Holes.
Which caravan are you talking about?
The one where Lanfear and Asmodean are hiding.
Yeah,
That's Kadir.
weren't they
they're
already
with
with him
Kadir.
on the way in?
No.
No, that happens after they go from Meridian
It's
to
the fat
the Cold
lady.
Rock place.
Ironically, the fat lady wears white, and she's Lanfear. You know, the show can't even get Lanfear to wear white.
Is Asmodean in the show?
So far,
Probably
no.
not.
Well, didn't they
I'm
show
assuming
all
it
eight
won't
Forsaken?
happen.
They had 8 Forsaken, which there's 13, but we don't
Well,
know.
they could cut it down to 8. I mean, that's obvious.
Yeah, but they're blending people together, so we don't know. Like, it seems like they're taking Samael and Asmodean and blending them together because Samael is referenced as the weakest of the lot, which makes no sense whatsoever because he's not the weakest.
Because it should be Mogedion, yes.
Is Mogedion considered the weakest?
Yeah.
Possibly. I don't know. But
I
apparently,
can't pull up the list on my phone, so
I'm pretty sure Mogedion is the weakest.
I mean, it's neither here nor there. It's definitely not Samael. That's the ultimate.
yeah.
I think out of the men, Asmodean's the weakest.
Yeah, that's true.
But
overall,
Samael's up there. So, but just like Min trying to get back and doing things in order like to help Rand, which she hopes will help him and also lead her to him. And eventually it does happen. It just takes a hot minute.
A hot minute. I saw you did there. I saw it.
So now you have Lan and Rand coming back with a sword, and
yes.
Avienda gets upset because you are touching a sword. Never happened in the books. They had a distaste for the sword, but she never prevented him from using it. She never threatened him for using it. But then she here does contradict, and he points out rightfully.
But she does tell him at certain points to, you shouldn't use the swords.
Well, you shouldn't touch a sword, period.
Yeah.
But she's like, Aiel, do not touch swords. And he's like, so am I Aiel or not? You can't seem to decide. That's a good witty comeback. It's not what he would say in the books, but it is a witty comeback nonetheless. She's acting retarded, so why not? No one touches a sword this close to the city of the clouds. That's a lie. They don't have a law or anything on that because the only rule they have is you're not allowed to take weapons into Ruidion.
I think the show morons are trying to plant the idea of why don't Aiel use a sword so when it gets revealed, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's unnecessary.
It's ham-fisted.
It's the same thing with like Perrin having a wife. They have to fridge the wife to give him a reason to leave the Two Rivers. He already has a reason to leave the Two Rivers. It's because the Two Rivers is under attack, and if he doesn't leave, the Trollocs are coming back. Like, he has the reason, but they're like, oh no, we need to give him a reason. I'm like, you have the reason, you showed us the reason, but you still fridged a character that doesn't exist to give him a reason.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
This specifically is a bad way to introduce that concept.
Because nobody knows what it's going on.
No, and also, in this case, it gives the impression that it's Viridian that is the reason you don't touch the sword, rather than it being a Aiel custom.
Rather than being that they're from formerly of the Way of the Leaf. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we go on and Lan just continues sauntering on. Like, what are you going to do? Stop me? which in the real Lan would definitely be like that. And she would have way too much respect for him to try to disrespect him because he's basically a legend amongst the Aiel.
He is an Alain,
after all. And then the Aiel hoot, I'm like, the Aiel would never do that. He looks so stupid. Like, look at me with my shirt open. I'm holding my sword in a sheath in a really stupid way.
He would also never show off like this.
Also, those blades look
fake.
Too fake. Like, they look like spray painted.
That's because they are.
Yeah.
They want the actors to kill each other.
You could just use a freaking maul blade or something, like a maul katana, and it would look better than
you
this.
should read the stories from Highlander of Christopher Lambert because he was blind.
Now this
was
could get
murdering people.
this particular still could leave a lot of people misunderstanding the circumstance.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so Avienda and Land fight here.
and Land
And
looks stupid.
Avienda actually at some point overpowers Lan,
Yeah, that was right here.
Which is also stupid.
which is
That's
stupid because Lan
laughable.
would absolutely demolish her.
Well,
She
keep
would
in
not stand
mind-
a chance.
Keep in mind, Avienda's still really young, like really young. Land's in
Sure.
his 50s.
Lan would demolish most
But he
Aiel.
has
Land
the-
has battle experience since he was a child. Like we're talking like between 5 to 10 years old.
that plus the water bond bonus.
Yeah.
plus the water bond bonus. Plus he has combat expertise in fighting
And he's a
Aiel. She has no experience fighting him.
He
like-
would not even be troubled by her attacking him.
He would wipe the floor with her in mere seconds, and it wouldn't even be close. He probably would use the scabbard rather than the blade, honestly. He would wipe the floor with
Actually,
her.
I would say Lan would actually pick up a spear and outspear her.
He would
Yeah.
probably
Yeah, that
just
seems-
beat her hand-to-hand combat because they actually do that. I don't think he's trained with a spear like the way they use it, but either way, it wouldn't matter.
A
Yeah, but
spear
he
is a
does-
sword.
knows
It's a
basically
sword with a
all
long
the-
hilt and a short blade.
Yeah, but it's still not the same way.
So it's
They're doing the
Aiel
whole
He
sword
might not
spears.
be Blade Master level with the
I should
spear,
correct this. What the Aiel using isn't really a spear, okay? Because it's not
It's a shovel
full-on-
that's narrow.
Yeah.
but
Um,
it's essentially just
technically
a
a-
sword with a longer hilt.
it's a sword with a really long hilt and a really short blade.
He's like, I don't want to become a wise one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a similar
yeah,
scene.
yeah.
It's a
And
similar
the
scene
The
with the
only
books,
reason,
but it's not the same.
the only reason that Lan didn't get absolutely destroyed by her in this is because they came and stopped her.
And this is
He got
stupid, by the way.
And she
by the
would
wise
have wiped
ones.
the floor with them guys if it wasn't for those pesky wise
Yeah.
ones.
Well, Lan would have
that's how
activated
it
his Super
looks
Saiyan
like.
mode after this.
How
So.
he turned brawly.
Also, Lan looked like he was enjoying this fight.
Yeah, he was laughing. He was smiling,
But,
smirking.
You know,
That's
he
not
is
Lan.
he is known as the most stoic character in all
Yeah.
of history.
There's a reason he's referred to as Stoneface. I'm pretty sure by Fail
Yes.
multiple times.
No,
His
this
face is
right here,
chiseled
though,
from stone. He doesn't crack a smile. On a rare occasion, he is kind of like I don't want to say joyful, but he is mirthful at certain instances. And it's usually when there's absolutely no danger, and it's usually towards Rand.
Yeah.
Because he has kind of this
So-
fondness
more
as like a
in
teacher
combat.
to a student with him.
is this the first time they mentioned Avienda and the Wise Ones?
Yes.
Mm,
If it is, this is a stupid way to introduce this.
I vaguely recall a mention earlier in this season, but I'm not.
I
100%.
don't recall anything in the season up until this point. This is the first
So-
time, and they're basically saying it's time. And she's like, "I don't want to be a wise one." And it's like, "You will know your duty. I used to run away once too."
I think it didn't get specifically mentioned that it was the wise ones, but she ran away. That was mentioned.
I want to say like Amis is sitting there like, "I used to be a maid in the spirit like you. I took an arrow to the knee, and now I'm a wise one." Like that's really
Yeah.
what I wanted to say. And of
But,
course, the scene is not too far off of what
Mhm.
it's supposed to be in the books, but her the behavior between the people is off. And then,
Well,
you
no, I
know,
think Avienda in
and I'm
this
pretty
case,
sure it was Bear that breaks the spears, but again, we don't have Bear.
Well, what I'm saying is, from the
yeah.
point of view of how they did this,
I mean,
they
they
had the
got
fight
two
with
streaks.
Lan and all that, and all that, and immediately go into this scene with
I don't know what this is.
they should have broke it up.
She's got really
This is,
flabby arms.
Oh, you don't mean the movement? The
No, I'm saying she has flabby arms, like right here.
yeah, but you said I don't know what this is.
Well, she's doing the whole
Yeah,
this.
So
that's a whole made up thing. Like, and
Mhm.
also she should be stripped naked, but obviously
Yeah,
they're not going to
yeah,
show
no,
that.
I have that in my notes as well.
Yeah, it was something that was just like, it's not because I want to see her naked. It's because that's how she was in the books. She ran to Ruidion naked and returned
Mhm.
naked. And it's like, oh, if you're going for book accuracy, that's what you would do. Now you could argue, well, they didn't want to do it, and like to find somebody who will do it. Like
we already knew this wasn't going to happen because they didn't do it with the accepted test.
Mullane dead inside, no fiery passion. She says, "I answer yes," like she just took a dump. Kind of like, I answer yes, and instead she should be like, I answer yes. A little bit more passion. She's a passionate character.
Sure, go ahead.
I don't think "sure,
Yes.
go ahead" is a phrase that the IEL would use, let alone the wise ones.
But like, it's I answer yes instead of just
the Sean Connery voice. I answer yes.
Well, yeah, of course.
And then she just kind of disappears.
I
don't know if you remember her run, but her run was pretty freaking bad.
Sorry, what?
Her run was like a saunter jog. Like,
I didn't really.
Let's see if
well, she was trying to avoid calling up a worm in the desert.
Here she goes.
Okay,
It's like this really lame run. I'm like, no.
In the book,
you would take off full sprint because that's what the IEL do. They don't. When it comes to running, they don't just half do it. They do it full speed ahead.
Well, also, I think in the book specifically, she wanted to be hidden in the clouds. Let's call it as fast as possible, so that
so
Rand and such.
Again, it wasn't everybody else; it was Rand specifically. But and this is the scene that shouldn't have happened until after Alcair Dal. This is where Moraine's like, let me confide in me, let me be your advisor, blah blah blah. This does not happen until Alcair Dal. And then that's when she starts listening to him and doing whatever he says, like basically a lapdog. This does not happen in this time period. So why it's here, I don't understand.
But also, it didn't happen in this specific scene. So
in this specific scene, and she was not as obstinate in the books.
Yeah,
like she caved pretty quickly in the books because
maybe they put this into that. They can also put it at Alcair Dal, and then she changed her mind because she went through the rings.
But why change her mind if she has her own plans and plots? Like it's a waste of scenes because again, everyone's like, oh well, they obviously can't do a 1-to-1 rendition. It's like, well, okay, you have to at least try a 1-to-1 rendition. You don't just go in and be like, well, we can't do 1-to-1 rendition, so let's make a whole bunch of filler episodes because that'll win them over.
We have a good old arrogance scene here as well, where Rand is arrogant for not waiting a few weeks before going in.
Arrogance will get you, and it's like Rand doesn't act arrogant the entire time he's in the Waste. He acts calculated, and Moraine's not like, you're arrogant.
Also, it's not arrogant to go in immediately because there's nothing to prepare for,
and there's no reason to wait because he's trying to get ahead of his enemies, not stay behind them. Exactly. So. Again, they don't have books. I want you to tell me what you're going to do so I can help you. And he's like, you're not here to help me. And I think, to some extent, this makes sense, right? Because he responds how you'd expect Rand to respond to Moraine, prodding him like this. She's just doing it with an attitude that does not befit Moraine. So obviously...
Yep.
Hashtag not my Moraine. I won't hinder, or I will do nothing to hinder you from fulfilling your destiny, which is literally not what he asked. He said, speak plainly, and she literally does not speak plainly. It's like, this whole talk happened later, and she was totally different about it. It's like, I will promise not to watch while you lay your head on a chopping block, or I will not promise to watch you. Well, yes, but that's the whole point of you confiding, is you're... If he's confiding in you, you can then advise him not to do something because you can tell him what will happen if he does said thing. But the whole point is that you have to be his advisor in order to do that, and you're not doing that because you're an idiot. And then we have...
Oh, yeah, by the way, they now go to the place where they wait for the people to come back from Rhuidean. But Avienda already went all the way from the camp that was not near Rhuidean. So
I mean, they were near Rhuidean, but they weren't next to
They have
Rhuidean.
to do a whole travel montage to get...
I know. My point is that I agree with you, and it was stupid because they should have moved it to when they were at Rudy on
Yeah.
specifically. So I agree with you. I'm just saying in this particular situation, it won't really ultimately matter. It wouldn't matter to an Aiel. Let's put it that way. The Chiefs can only speak. I think Ruark's not horrible as casting.
Yeah.
He gives me the large. He gives me
Yeah.
the silver fox kind of feel. I don't think he has facial hair, but I mean, it's the least sin, if anything. I think about the Karakarn, and they talk about the dragons. I'd like to point out, shoot,
That's
these are the
color.
wrong dragons because the head of the dragon's on the back of his palm.
Yeah. And also, there's no red.
Yeah, it's supposed to be red and gold.
Yep.
I don't know
This
why
is-
the eye
this
is
is-
emerald.
Yeah, that seems weird.
It's the whole concept. But like, if you can't do it in the most basic form of having it wrap around your arm and then have the head of the dragon on the back of the palm, that's where Rand gets them.
See,
But they stop them before the palm for some unknown reason, and I
So
cannot
they
think
can
of why.
hide it with their sleeves, I guess. Maybe they decided.
But the
we need
chieftains
that.
don't need to hide their
need to
sleeves.
get them.
Yeah, but maybe they decided we need to
And
have
also,
someone hide
if
this
if
future
you
scene.
recall, Rand's shirt is longer that it covers his palm.
Maybe
Yeah, he wears the
Ain't
kind of like the kind that like flares out,
Okay.
like the
maybe
tyrant style.
paint that they're using rubs off easily, so they don't put it on the palm. So
That could be.
I mean, it looks just like it's a skin placer on it, like whatever.
probably the same. It's probably the same paint that pro wrestlers use. That stuff.
It doesn't look like paint.
The Karakarn comes with the dawn, blah 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 blah, and then this city was just
Wait,
weird.
the X-ray says bear.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think they merged Amis and Bear. So they have the old lady bear, which she matches the visuals of, although technically Bear is even older. And they merged with Amis. So Ruark is married to Amis, not Bear. But they have Bear and Ruark married in the show. I've been calling her Amis the entire time, but I heard somebody post about saying like, "Oh, it's Bear." And I'm like, "Why is it Bear? Bear can't channel."
Maybe, yeah. I think the case here
The
is they
only
fused
two
it
that can
together.
channel is Mullane and Amis. Bear can't channel. Bear's a dreamwalker, not a channeler.
Maybe they merged that into one.
That's what I'm saying. I think they merged. They're merging everything. And I'm like, guys, it's literally an extra. Throw an extra in there. It's not that difficult. Or better yet, don't be Bear. Amis can do dreamwalking. She's literally already both of them in necessity.
Yeah.
So what's the point? I don't understand the point.
Well, I don't think there is a
They're
point,
like,
really.
"Oh, it's Shido," and then
Oh no! Oh yeah, the Shido make woogie noises
ooga ooga.
when they show up. The actual Aiel would be completely silent.
Well, why is Shido, who was supposed to be as good as stealth as the other Aiel, just like ninjas in the wrong color?
Well, because they're dark friends, clearly.
Yeah, they are the shadow.
They're the Shido. So basically Shadow, and shadows are dark.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the stupid thing
evil.
here, besides obviously Savannah's headpiece, the
that's,
actress is the actress. I mean, whatever. I don't really care. Her hair does not exist. That's not an Aiel thing. That's ridiculous, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
Wearing necklaces and whatnot, sure, but it looks like
That's
she's wearing. It looks like she's wearing a jawbone.
He's wearing Leandro's jawbone.
You're not far off. But she wore a blouse that was really like deep, where it basically shows everything. So she had quite the bosom.
Yeah,
Use
instead
Robert Jordan's
we have
term.
this, on the legs.
You know, I hate to say this, but if I were adapting this and you had to cut stuff for time, right? I would cut the Shido.
That's fair.
I mean, they are kind of a motivation for a lot of stuff.
But you can easily hand that
Yeah,
off.
but maybe.
How do
don't
you
cut them.
hand off Couladin and his rivalry with Rand in order?
Yeah,
to
maybe
become...
don't cut them, but just have them be completely destroyed during
You don't
demise
even need to
wells.
you don't. Well, again, the reason that
Then you can skip the Perrin
I mean, if we're just
storyline.
gonna skip arcs, why don't we just skip all of them and just have them go from Tears straight to the last battle while we're at
Yeah,
it?
but
Like,
that's if you have to condense it into less time.
but you
Right?
don't have to condense it. That's the whole
Ideally,
point.
you'd have all of it, but
If we
hypothetically,
didn't
if
condense
that's the case,
into less time
Shido,
to adapt these books will be like 20 seasons of like 10 episodes per season.
So I'm not even. Is this
I
is
don't know
that
what this is.
cloth on her head? That looks like cloth. Looks like a bed sheet rolled up. It's like pleated or something.
Yeah.
What the frick is that?
I thought that was a hat.
It's a very
Originally I thought it was
elaborate
her hair,
hat. No. It was quite obvious that it was a hat.
and she would wear gold and silver and jewels. She wouldn't wear bones or whatever that is.
Well,
Or
these
ivory.
are savage
Maybe
desert
maybe
tribe
they're
people, right? So they must wear bones, otherwise
It
you
might
can't tell.
be ivory. I don't know. Cooladin was Cooladin. It is whatever it is.
Yeah, clad in. He was fine, I guess.
Yeah, and Savannah again. Savannah didn't feel angry enough, for what I understand. But Savannah wasn't here, correct? It was only Cooladin.
No, I think she was.
I thought she was back with the main Shido group, not because remember when they go to Rudion, it was only a small portion of the Shido. It wasn't all of the Shido.
Yeah, no, but I think she was there because this is the point where the whole thing got set up that she
I don't remember.
apparently.
And again, what's with the arm thing? That's an entirely made up
That's
weird
that's
thing.
the way women apparently asked to go into Ridian. So Rand is doing the wrong.
This man has no idea. He presents himself like a woman. Well, you're not wrong, Cooladin. Emo Cooladin.
So how do the men do it? I wonder.
Up the butt.
Maybe. Seems weird though.
But again, you know, he's supposed to be wearing cotton sore. He's not wearing cotton sore. Cotton sore is not that dark because it doesn't allow you to blend into the ground. It's browns and greens and like shades
that's fair.
around,
yeah.
not black.
But maybe the Shido have their own version of the Cadinsaw.
Maybe, I don't know. This is where
Or
she
maybe-
uses the one power on him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
She looks dead.
She is dead. It's the stupid thing. And then he's like, ah, and just boom. That's not how Aiel behave. They don't use the one power like that. They would throw him back. They wouldn't hit him. And how people don't understand the difference between that is beyond me. I can't understand. When you are flung backwards, you are basically like push. It's like if Ruar came up and pushed him, is different than him walking up and just punching him in the gut. They're pushing doesn't inherently hurt. Getting hit inherently hurts.
Well, pushing does hurt if you do it like really fast. Like say with the one power, I guess.
But again, it's more like if they use a wall of air and scoop and push you kind of a thing. Rather than like you're getting up against something and you're going back with that thing. It's not actively harming you. The landing might be the most danger you have of anything, but he's Aiel. I'm sure he'll be fine. But like this is like a blatant attack. Like attack as opposed to separation.
It was just a weak push.
Well,
it's a punch is a weak push.
A separation is different than an attack. That's all my main point is. And they're like, go back to your tents, blah 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 blah. And Melaine still looks dead. And Moraine wants to go. Egwene wants to go, but Egwene gets told no. I don't get these spears at all.
Thing. Oh, it's because they are not allowed to bring weapons, and
the spears are all too long for Aiel.
That's true. That's
every single one is way too long.
Maybe they forgot what the Aiel spears were supposed to look like, and they just
clearly when they have a whole bunch of them on their backs actively on set.
yeah.
Also, notice the heads. Most of the heads of the spears are the wrong type of spearhead as well.
These are just rentals, basically.
Yeah, they just got a whole bunch of spears, stuck them in the ground.
Oh yeah, they brought all these back from freaking when they went over to kill Layman. I bet that's what it was.
Well, they went to whatever the local warehouse for props and says, "We need like 1,000 spears."
Oh yeah, by the way, I think that might be the next sentence in this.
I'll bet if there's an enterprising person out there,
They
they
say
can
that
look at every one of
Rand,
those spears and find out which movie or TV show they were in previously.
in this point, they say Rand is the past and Moraine is the future, which is
Well, it's because Rand goes in the past, and then
yeah, no,
Moraine
but
looks in the future.
they don't say he goes into the past. They say
But if I recall correctly, she doesn't actually go in the
they don't
future.
go together.
I thought her future was through the Terangriel and Tyr.
Yeah. No. That's she can ask questions in the one in Tyr, but the circle ring Terangriel in Viridian allows her to see the future, but not remember it afterwards.
Then what's the freaking point?
No. So she doesn't remember, but if the moment that she has seen comes up, she knows, oh, I must make this specific choice in this moment, or else bad stuff will happen. Right. That's why I think that's why she knows how to remove Lanfear from the picture, let's say.
Your girl gets upset that the show is you're watching the show.
Yeah. All right. So, you want to reiterate what you were saying there, Sage, about the scene?
Was I saying anything?
Yes, you were saying something. You literally were just saying something.
Yeah, but I don't remember.
Short-term memory loss. All right.
Well,
Well,
warning, the show
I
called you.
only know that I
Yeah.
would say
the city
that
in the clouds is literally the dumbest thing to do because the whole city's supposed to be hidden.
yeah, and also this is not a city in clouds. This is a city in fog.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, Moraine has like 1,000,000 daggers she leaves behind here.
I when I saw that, I was like, "This is freaking Mad Max in the Thunderdome. Like, what the frick is going
Mhm.
on?"
We
I
know-
was. That's not Moraine. It's not
don't-
Moraine.
I don't know
She
if I
wouldn't
mentioned
even
it,
have
but
those
the
knives.
little
or maybe
dwarfs guy has
because she
Anthony
has
aircraft in Thunderdome.
Has the what?
The little dwarfs guy from the
Yeah.
she had Anthony, the Tina Turner character from Beyond Thunderdome. She has a haircut.
Yeah. But yeah,
she
Moraine
just used
has
the power.
land.
Why would she
Why did she
need knives?
Well, not even that. Even if she didn't have access to the one power, she has land.
Yeah,
Need
but
I
he's not-
say more? Yeah, yes, but that's my point. Is that it's not necessary. Dagger's
no, I
not
get
going to
that.
help her in the situation. So what the frick is the
I
point?
have no objection to the dagger. Just there was no reason
Just not
to
that many. Just
hold on,
2
drop.
daggers. Max.
Doesn't seem like Aiel work. The joke's
Wow.
on you.
Also, that's that statue at the beginning gives really big Roman Emperor vibes.
Yeah, well, Greek or Roman. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They probably had to use a real statue.
Also, I don't think the fog is supposed to be there in the city itself. It's just the barrier / dome that's supposed to
Supposed to be
be foggy.
Avendasora.
Yeah, I mean, you could have chosen a better looking tree, but I guess
Or a bigger one.
that too.
I don't know what these little pylons around it are.
Oh, those channel magic into the tree so it
Clearly.
can grow. Yeah. No, I don't know. That was just.
This is where we talk about layman's sin.
Yeah, this is the exposition dump.
Oh gosh, there's so many
Section.
of that in this episode. So many exposition dumps. He wants a throne that can never be copied.
This
Also, we
Okay.
specifically know the Aiel killed Layman on Dragon Mount.
Yeah.
well, this
Which-
sort of exposition dump though isn't as bad as others because it's actually in context.
Yeah.
A
That's
lot
fair.
of times the exposition
Yeah,
dump in the
it's
show
just there's
is-
so many exposition dumps. It wasn't that this
Well,
one was
just remember,
particularly
there's-
bad. It was just
there's a
there was
big
so
point
many
here.
of them.
And there's lots of talking about fate here.
Yeah,
And I put in my notes, oh, by the way, Matt is nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, well, he's on the other side of the
Interesting.
world right now, so
Yes.
I wanted to point out that a lot of people are having fights in the Wheel of Time community about, or fandom, whatever you want to call it, about whether or not Layman or the Aiel was justified. Like, was the Aiel justified in coming over and wiping out Kyrian and all that stuff and all that? They're like, it's not justifiable to go kill somebody because they cut down a tree. I'm like,
it's not just a tree.
It's not just a thing. Like, it was a huge deal. Like, it's Avendoldera, the seed or sapling of Avendosora.
Avendoraldera, right?
No, Avendoldera.
I thought it was Avendoraldera.
That might be how they pronounce it in the show, but I'm pretty sure it's Avendoldera. But
no, they don't pronounce anything in the show
correctly.
And also the pronunciation. I think we have a pronunciation guide for specifically Avendosora and Avendoraldera.
Because we know Avendosora is a choya tree, and tens of thousands of them. That's book related as well. They sent out a whole bunch of them, and obviously only one made it. Which is kind of depressing if you think about it.
Specifically, the one with the shiny orb.
Yeah, I know, right? The most powerful Angreal we have for women.
Very, very.
I'm just gonna like randomly send this on its way because nobody's going to take it in this time period. It's a terrible plot line. Let's see. Burning every city in the Westlands until they caught him. That is so freaking full of crap. They burned Kyrian and then went north towards Tarvalon because that's where Layman was.
Well, they went specifically for him.
Yeah.
And the actual fighting was the other.
Then they didn't find him after killing everyone in Kyrian, and they thought, oh, well, let's go to the next place.
Well, it's like they didn't kill everyone in Kyrian, though.
That's true.
They popped in. Like, again, while they think poorly of Kyrian and people, like, they're tree killers. They think they have no honor, yada, yada. Even though, technically speaking, it was only Layman that committed the sin. It wasn't the people as a whole. So technically speaking, you'd think the Aiel could separate the two and say, okay, it wasn't the people, it was literally the king. But they probably assume that the people support the king because...
Well, they assume if he's an oathbreaker like that, his whole culture is.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things is... Could they go a little bit far? Yes. Do they have a reason to? Well, yeah, because it's their culture to do so. Like, they take honor very seriously. And... sustaining
and
this,
also this specific tree is
sustaining this particular tree is like it's literally a culture monument is what this tree is.
Well, not only that though, but the world that Jordan wrote is a world of conflict getting worse because the time of the final battle is coming. Like everything's getting stirred up, you know?
Do you think that Gondor would be upset if Rohan showed up and cut down the white tree? Do you think they might have a war go on between them? Do you think Gondor would go try to wipe them out? Because I'm pretty confident Gondor would not like that.
Is that the inspiration for this, for the Tree of Life?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, this series started in the 90s. Obviously, Tolkien had
but
Lord of the Rings done well before then.
Well, there's Tolkienian influence, there's Norse influence.
Because of course, we have an exact.
But I'm not trying to compare the authors. I'm trying to compare the situations in which it's okay to destroy a culture's monument. Kind of like what's going on with Assassin's Creed Shadows, where they're talking about, we have this monument in the game that you can deface and destroy. So the day one they patch it. But then you have the tourists, like the YouTubers and streamers and stuff, going over to Japan. And they're climbing the torii gates and graffitiing them. Like they're literally vandalizing.
What the Aiel did, but there was such a numerical advantage, and it was so much better at being warriors. They could have laid waste to the entirety of all the kingdoms.
They could have conquered all of Randland without breaking a sweat. They would have taken over Randland without breaking a sweat easily. But
enough for the Borderlanders, and maybe the people of Tyr would have put up a fight. That's about it.
But no, well, yeah, I mean the Borderlands would put up a better fight. But even Land mentions in the books, if they wanted to keep moving, we wouldn't be able to stop them.
So
and that was only what 4 clans.
the majority of the
not a lot.
of Ranland, the armies of Andor and all that, were those inconvenient in the way of the Aiel going after Letheon. Not so. It's not like the Aiel said, "Okay, let's send 100,000 to go lay waste to Andor." You know what I mean? If they look, if they had
They only need half that to do that.
if they had drone maps, they would have seen the Aiel almost in a straight line going to one place. You know?
I mean, literally the 13 clans, if you put them in a single line, you could probably have gone from the spine of the world to Andor all the way up to Camelin with one by one line with everybody involved, just because that's just the fighting force, because there's so freaking many of them. But the point is that the comparison of, is it okay to destroy or vandalize a culturally significant thing to a people without the people being upset and doing something drastic? And some people are like, oh, it's never okay to do that because of a mere cultural icon. I'm like, okay, if somebody came over to America and like broke the Statue of Liberty, or actually, better yet, the French give us the Statue of Liberty and we cut it down to make a freaking thing. Do you think the French would be a little pissed off?
Yeah,
I mean, probably now, no, but I mean, if they were the same France back then that made it and said, we're giving you this fantastic gift, they might take offense to the fact that we spit upon their gift and tore it down. They might show up with a fleet, which would probably be a better navy than what we have, and they might lay waste to the coastline just because we pissed all over their gifts. We pissed all over their honor. We pissed over them entirely. They might get offended. This isn't too far of a reach. It's the same thing as if you go over to freaking Iran or something and you got upset, like you did something with Islam. They're gonna be upset.
Yeah, like
wow,
let's say you make a picture of Muhammad,
a cartoon,
and publish it in a newspaper thingy.
Charlie Hebdo. But no, like,
wait a minute.
Any of these types of things can really get somebody upset. Imagine going to China and pissing off the CCP. Yeah. It's not going to be a fun time, just saying. And it's like, and because of that event, I came along on Dragon Mount, and this we have the Dragon Reborn. You shouldn't have come here.
Yeah,
is what he tells her, and that's not part of the book, so that shouldn't have happened. I never pictured the glass columns like this. I'm just going to point that out.
Yeah, no, they're not supposed to be like this.
I imagined like a single hallway. I did not imagine an entire forest of them in terms of like.
And also, they're way
to the ground. That's what she said.
The way to what?
They have
they're too thick.
Yeah, Rand could basically go sit in one of them and be completely.
I accept your complaint, but on the list of like the 10,000 things wrong with the show,
it just seems like a very weird.
No, it's just an extra thing to add.
And then we hear this is Muradin.
The other guy, I forgot his name. He's not important.
I think it's Muradin. I like how
for some reason calls out to him.
I like how Rosamund Pike's in this scene.
Yeah,
it's just Muradin. And he calls out, and the way they did the whole footsteps things was a bit weird. And people kept mentioning, like, oh, did he have to step on this guy's chest to crush it? I'm like, to be fair, he didn't know he was moving when he was moving.
Yeah.
So that's
also, I mean, for some reason, whatever he does in his flashback also is something he does in the real version.
I don't remember all of the sequences in the novel of William.
They didn't put all of them in here. I know, but this one specifically didn't exist.
Did not exist.
But
we hear about him going, like, obviously lamenting the loss of his son and his wife, but we don't. This is not how it's proposed. Now, I was really annoyed with the whole glass columns thing, just because it was always Rand, and they just put,
I think that was fine.
It drove me nuts because they put facial stuff on him. Now, if you follow back,
I have a
watch
big
this. See,
problem with that.
notice the flickering. Notice the hands flickering between the two. That's representing something. So before we even get to a face, we're representing the point of a character that is in a particular scene, and they have a particular part to play in telling the viewer what's going on.
Mhm.
So then we get up, and we're standing, and we're this dude. It's literally Rand. Now, keep in mind, it doesn't look like...
this is his father, so that makes some sense.
You could argue that, but at the same time, just because, like, I don't look like my dad. So,
Not at all. Completely different.
yeah, I really don't. I look more like my mom.
Okay, fair.
My brother looked like my dad. I look like my mom. That's just how it is.
So if your brother did this flashback, he wouldn't be able to play.
But my point is that they went out of his way to put prosthetics and stuff on his face so he doesn't look like Rand, right? Then just use a different character. Use a different person. Like,
Well, that's. Let me get to that because I have a big problem with this because they're.
they really
I
like to
know
pull
that
on cloaks, by the way.
but they're saying almost that some of these are Rand's past lives, right?
Oh, is that? Yeah, no, that seems.
Core tenet of Wheel of Time that the dragon only comes around to fight the Dark One. That there was nothing between the
Yes,
dragon.
but the other times he wasn't the dragon.
He's always the one who fights the Dark One, though.
He was just Rand.
Well, or Bill or
Tony, Tony.
Whoever. Anytime that soul gets spun out into the pattern, it's solely to fight the Dark One, not any of this Penny Annie shit. You know,
I
and
don't think that's entirely true, but I could
well,
be wrong.
I mean, I'm interpreting what I read Jordan right, so we can argue. I don't argue over.
Either way, my problem with this is that they could have just used another actor.
I agree. They should have used other actors.
It would make more sense because what we get is when he does like the hand thing and it's flickering between them, it's saying he's going into this new scene just like as if he was this person. And then you look at this person as the main focus. I know, but I'm saying it's actually Joshua or whatever, however you say his name. Like it's the Rand actor playing.
Yeah, no,
I'm the dude playing the dude disguised as another dude. Literally is all of this is. But they put all this prosthetics on his face to make it not be Rand.
No, that's not actually true. That's only specifically for two of the characters.
This is literally Yasha Stradowski. Every single one of the characters in his line is Josh.
Only in 2 cases does he have prosthetics on his face.
The whole pulling on the cloaks is really stupid.
Yeah, so here he's fighting the Bee Knights, which
the Bee Knights.
Yeah, the Bee Knights.
I think it's supposed to be the companions from Ilion.
Yeah, but they have bees on their chest plates.
Is that what they are?
Yeah, the 9 bees of.
I hate that stupid.
I thought the bees were for Samael specifically.
No.
I never hear about them outside of any Samael thing. So they're running around. Oh, look, there she is. Oh, no, he doesn't recognize.
No.
She's dead, blah, 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 blah. Again, should have been a different actor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, we have Bale. We have Cherondon. Those are both
Bale?
Bale? He's one of the guys in the scenes with him.
Okay.
But notice how this is Yasha, but it doesn't tell you he's Manduin.
Manduin?
Manduin's his father.
It's Janduin.
It's Januin, sorry. Somebody says Manduin in this episode, and that's probably what threw me off. But Cherondon and Bale, which are both chieftains, I believe. Although Cherondon isn't one of the main ones, so I don't know why he's here as a character. Like, if Janduin's not a main character to worth having his own thing, why is Cherondon even here? I don't know, but whatever. So they're like, oh, boo-hoo, blah-ha. You can really tell right there.
He is specifically the one that killed Layman.
Mm-hmm. Ironically.
Yes.
And then, he's just the whole string thing. And then this reminds me of the Hama from Lord of the Rings. The Rohirrim.
I almost...
And like the fact that his eyebrows never move, like killed me. I'm like, you could have just literally had a different character, but why not just have different characters? Because he's supposed to be ancestors. These are the
Yeah,
ancestors
I
of
like that.
him. It doesn't make sense that they all look copy paste for
It's
each of them.
because it costs more to have multiple people.
Nah, they could have got like extra
There are
actors for
tons
this.
of extras that could like, hey, you want to be a kind of somewhat of a bigwig for at least like a couple minutes sure, they do it for free. So he kind of wanders in and does this thing.
Mhm.
His wife comes over. She looks like Sansa.
Also, the fog is not supposed to be there when they go talk to the Aes Sedai
Yeah.
and set up the whole promise.
Yeah. Also, if you don't notice, this necklace that I remember who this guy is. I'm trying to remember his name. Maybe this is Manduin. I don't remember. But whoever
Okay.
this guy is, his necklace is the one that Ruark is wearing.
Hmm.
Fun little fact. This reminds me of Sansa from Game of Thrones. So
I'm
just,
really dead in the eye looking person.
yeah, that's the eyeshadow. But yeah, they're like, I've spoken to my sisters in the dream. They don't call them sisters. They call I've spoken to the other wise ones, and we all dream the same dream. Blah 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 blah. Shade of my heart. Blah 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 blah. He has a really fancy blade. He
Yeah,
shows up.
that seems power wrought
This is
almost.
older Latra.
Yeah, this is Latra,
She
the
kind
same
of is
person
creepy. Not gonna lie.
who sort of told Luce
Roger,
Theron
the one
to
who
fuck off
caused the
with your
whole problem.
plan, right?
But Latra wasn't the one who caused the whole problem. It was Lanfear.
She let the project go on.
No, Latra is the one in the flashback in season 1.
Yes, one, she let the project go on, and two, she didn't back up Luce Theron when he came up with his idea to stop the problem.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's usually the Aes Sedai's fault, and female Aes Sedai specifically.
And of course, she is the one here, and on all the other.
This
scenes.
looks very much like Yasha.
Also, relevant. They're not supposed to go into Viridian.
I like, and why you do not carry swords is like the important bit. It's like nobody cares why you carry swords.
Exactly.
Like they're just like, and how you came to be not Jen Aiel. Like that's like Jen Aiel. I don't even think are mentioned.
No, they're not mentioned.
Which is stupid.
But also, they're supposed to meet outside of the city on a hill overlooking the whole thing.
Well, yeah, it's supposed to be like at the entrance of the city.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
And
like,
also,
that one will come later, not of the blood, but raised by. This is like the prophecy moment.
this is not how you make a terangrial, by the way.
What, you don't make a snow cone ball and throw it out there and glassify it?
What's she trying to make a Rasengan?
A
It
Rasengan's
gets-
probably more
it-
powerful.
She
getting
uses
worse
this
in the next
little,
episode.
little ball that we don't know what it is yet to make the glass columns, right? But that's not how you make a terangrial that is that complicated in its operation.
It's not a terangrial, first off. It's a sa'angrial.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the glass columns.
Oh, yeah.
Those are a terangrial.
I don't know why this guy looks like an Indian.
Because the Aiel are multicultural.
Or not like an
now.
Indian. He looks Indian, I should say.
Dramatic music.
This is how Sauron creates the Nine Ring Wraiths.
Yeah. Wait a minute. What?
Yeah, I know, right?
But we
We
don't
were
get that with a
watching-
complicated contraption.
And then we create all these random things for no reason. The chiefs are just like, bleh. We're not oath breakers. Well, about
Well-
that. Let's see
I
what he
have
says.
some bad news for you.
I will go. And then whoever that guy is, I don't fear my past. We are not oath breakers. And that's when he learned seconds later he broke oaths.
Well, technically, it wasn't him, so he's
This
still
is line. Oh, now it's not Yasha. Now it's somebody else. Oh, I see how it is. And then we have Muradin.
Yeah,
His whole screaming and scratching his eyes out thingy. This one
yeah, but you
wasn't
don't
done.
actually see him doing that.
I mean, you do see the blood coming out, but they don't.
Well, you
don't
see
go
the
into-
blood, but you don't see.
I mean, you
it's
see him
not-
doing this, but you don't
It's
see
like,
like.
oh, it's almost.
Well,
as
no, you
if
saw his like
that's-
knuckles, like his fingers digging into his eyes, kind of thing.
Okay,
It's not like his eyeballs just go and start gushing blood or anything.
We'll see that later. Then I didn't
But
notice that.
this one wasn't so bad, except this totally like these three guys.
Yeah, this is Rand with discount Matt and discount Perrin.
Yeah, literally is what that is, and yeah, Elijah, Charlin, yeah, the predecessors of the Tinkers.
Yeah, no, these are not the.
Oh, she
predecessors.
freaking drove me up a nuts. Over a wall.
Yep.
It's all she does, and it just pisses me off. This is more or less accurate. There are a couple additionals, like them playing with the Choya tree. It's kind of stupid. They sneak down. Every time I see this story, Migrin pisses me off. Like, she's literally retarded. Like, not just like in the proverbial sense, like literally retarded. And you could argue they went through traumatic experiences, this, that, the other, but literally the girls are the reason this entire thing goes south. I don't remember the last time you guys watched read the books, but it's Migrin and the other girl's fault the entire time. And then when they come back, they're like, I'm going to rat my brother out. It's the first thing I'm going to do. This is like...
It's been a while since I read the book, so are you talking about how it goes in the book or in the show?
They happen pretty similar. Like this particular scene happens pretty much 1-to-1. Which is funny, because I was told we can't do 1-to-1 adaptations, but here we are.
Wait a minute.
So
I don't quite recall how the situation arises.
So basically, the Genaiel get attacked, and bandits, these other men, they take the sisters, and then the boys go in.
Yeah,
the boys go in to extradite them out, just like grab them
Mhm.
and go. And it's literally as simple as, shh, like put your hand over their mouth, shh, come with me, and they leave. That's literally all you had to do in both the book and the show. But because Migrin and the other girl ends up waking somebody up. Now in the show, they're like knocking over pots, like those little commercials with the white people who are holding too many of something and it falls all over the place. Like it's over the top ridiculous. They're like, well, they can't see anything. I'm like, they're not stupid. They have to survive. They tripped over rocks like that or anything like that, they would never make it this far into the waste. It's dumb. But they successfully get to the sisters without waking anybody up in the books and technically speaking in the show. It's the girls stirring that wake up the bandit guys or whoever they are.
To be fair though, if you're sleeping and suddenly someone is waking you up.
But yes, this is where somebody goes hand over mouth, shh, and it says.
Yeah, but he didn't do that, right? He did.
Well, I don't know how they do it in this. I'm just saying, like,
mouth, and then
when he wakes them up in the book, he's not like clanging pots and pans to wake them up or anything.
No, I think that's what happened.
But basically, what happens is that the guy who wakes up and it's like, I'm gonna carve you like a pig, like that guy. They could have been 10 miles away by the time this guy even got to where the bed was, because the guy's one drunk and fat and a whole bunch of other things. They could have easily moved, but the girls refused to move. And it always drove me up a wall. I'm like, you literally could have prevented any killing, anything by literally just grabbing them and running in a direction away from these guys that's not towards your actual caravan. The guys will eventually give up, and then you go back to your caravan. Hey, we brought back the girls. The girls are like, oh, we had a traumatic experience. Okay, let's get together and do a therapy session or something and sing Kumbaya or whatever these guys do. And then they go on.
Sounds like exactly what they would do.
I know, right? The Genaiel were extremely frustrating. Ironically, though, they had to, like, the Aes Sedai and the Age of Legends were kind of, like, retarded because they're like, you need to keep the oaths. But breaking the oaths is literally what causes everything to be okay in the end. like, if they didn't break the oaths, there is no people of the dragon to support the dragon. There's no Kara Karn because the Kara Karn's a warrior. So
then again,
Like nothing
You
makes
could
sense.
argue that specifically because they were tasked to keep the oaths, that someone breaking them would be enough of a thing that it would result in the Aiel. So who knows?
Yeah, but the whole point is that them being pacifists was literally pointless. The like from the very beginning of the Age of Legends, whatever the Gen
Yep.
Aiel were even part of anything, the
Well, no,
Daishine
it's
or
actually
whatever.
fine in the Age of Legends because there's no threat
Well, yes,
until.
but to be a pacifist is to have an active belief. You can be pacifistic without being a pacifist.
Fair, yeah.
So, like for example, and you cannot. What was it? There's a quote I like using where it's basically you cannot be peaceful unless you have the capacity of great violence. You're not
Sure.
peaceful, you're a coward. You can only be peaceful
Yeah.
when you have the ability to do great violence. And that's the thing, is that they could have done that and said, hey, protect this and get out there. They would have easily have gotten to their location because no one's going to be able to overwhelm them because there's so many of them. And then they would have easily been able to do all the things they needed to do, build a city and everything. Like the whole pacifism thingy literally has no point. Because ultimately, the Jedi Eel get wiped out anyway from old
that's
age
the
or
way
whatever.
it's made, so you got to accept it.
I know, I'm just saying it doesn't play any actual significant role.
It does. It got them wiped out.
But it didn't wipe out the actual Aiel that
No, it
were
led
used
to the
later.
ideal being created, is what Sage was saying.
What?
So it's only because the Aiel initially held the Way of the Leaf that breaking the oath is so significant that it forever altered the future of those who broke it. Without the Way
But
of the Leaf,
it only did that in a negative way. It didn't do it in a positive way.
no, it did do it in a positive way.
I said only in a negative, not in a positive way. Yes.
It did do it in a positive way.
No, it didn't, because it caused the bleak, or the was it not the bleak?
The bleak.
The bleakness. There we go. It's when they throw down their spears and everything when they find out that we were oath breakers in the past.
Yes,
yada, yada.
if they
But
didn't,
that's only
they
part.
weren't pacifists, and with the oath to break, the IEL would not exist.
Why wouldn't they?
Because
You're in a harsh world, having to do harsh things to survive. As long as you're not the Jedi Eel.
Because the fact that they were pacifists and were forced to break their oath has a much more significant impact on their
It's one
psychology
core of their cultural identity.
than if they were just normal people who didn't have an oath of pacifism.
Yes, but I'm saying if you remove the oath of pacifism and they were just normal people, they would still have to have gone through trials. They'd have to go through tribulation. They'd have to survive people attacking them.
And you would end up with the people of the Westlands.
No.
Yes, that's the way Jordan wrote it.
Why? How would they become people of the Westlands if they're in the Waste, which is
The core
a very
identity
rough
is that-
place?
that
Be
Aiel-
similar to the
core-
people of the Westlands, except in the Waste.
The core cultural
What's the
identity
difference?
thing for the IEL is the broken oath.
Yeah,
Yes,
that
but
is
I'm saying
the
if there
drive
is,
Civilization
behind
is
the
I'm
none of that.
saying from the perspective of the Jedi Eel to the non-pacifistic equivalent of the Jedi Eel, right?
Mhm.
Let's say there's two side-by-side parallels. They're both going into the Waste because
Mhm.
the Aes Sedai told them to do so for whatever reason. So they're both going into the Waste. One gets attacked, they get cut down, they get sold into slavery, blah, 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 blah. It's the Irish all over again. The other side, they're actually defending themselves. They're actually pushing into the territory. But because water's a rare resource, just like it is in both situations, they have to fight off whatever either creatures or whatever that are in the other place. Because again, the Waste is dangerous inherently on its own. So they're going to either way become a harsh people.
With no
And-
honor.
Well, they don't have honor if they're oath breakers. That's my
They
point.
have an entire honor code built around being oath breakers.
But they
Yeah.
could have built that separately. No. They
No,
didn't
they
build it
weren't.
off. Like honor and obligation.
George wrote the books. That's besides the
I
point.
know. I'm not. Oh my gosh, man! I'm not talking that. I know he wrote the books. I'm saying the pacifism has nothing to do with honor and obligation.
But Jordan said it did.
Where does he say
The
explicitly it
breaking of
did?
the oaths is
It's not
the
in the
very
books.
core foundation of Jiatou.
Except that the people who find out that they broke the oaths just decide to do nothing and basically run away.
Yeah.
Because they live such a strict, harsh life that breaks them.
They were
That-
told
that's
their
the
whole
worst.
life was a lie.
Yeah.
Of
Move
course,
on.
some people can't take that.
I think he's suffering the briefest right now live on our stream.
Yeah.
No, it's difficult to explain things to you guys at this point.
I get it. You don't like the idea that they were pacifists. I get that.
No. I'm not. It's not whether I like it or dislike it. I'm saying it plays no significant role because the culture of honor and obligation could have been built from scratch at any point in
Okay.
time,
Sure.
or
Right, so
or
the
they
whole
could have
history then doesn't
started with honor and obligation before they even left in the Age of Legends.
So why don't you write a book about that?
Because I couldn't do that because that would be plagiaristic to use somebody else's characters and everything.
There are a
But
million
even then-
versions of Aiel out there. You want to who's just like the Fremen in Dune.
Possibly. I'd never read Dune. I know what I know based off of the movies, and that's probably not accurate. So
So the point is though, like
Anyway, why don't we just alter the history of all the people in the Wheel of Time, right? It doesn't matter anyway.
I didn't say to alter their history. I'm saying it wouldn't alter their history if they weren't, was what I was saying.
No, that's
And I was
specifically
saying that these two
altering their history.
girls are the reason everything went south.
Yeah, sure. The girls are stupid. That's we agree
Pretty
with
obvious.
that.
A spear could put food in pots, so can a sword. That's a dumb. Like that was always a really dumb
that
take.
is
It's
dumb.
like
Well, to be fair,
that's like saying we can't
he's
use it.
trying to
I can use
justify.
an axe to cut trees. Well, you can also use an axe to hunt. You can also use an axe to kill somebody. Like they're multi-use tools. They're not just like it's a sharp blade. It can only do one thing. Like, well, spear's a sharp blade. Well, it can do multiple things. How's that work? You're using short spears. You're not using long spears.
No, this is I think it's called post hoc rationalization. He killed someone and he thinks, "Oh no, I shouldn't kill one." Oh no, not the sword. Those I can't use those because that's actually killing weapons. But I use the spear, so it's fine because you can also use a spear to hunt.
Again,
That's
her
the
face
reason.
is just like the
those
turtle.
bad half
That's a turtle face right there.
I'm not sure turtles are that ugly.
Ouch. And they're like, we will protect the gen. I'm like, okay. And eventually everybody just decides to join them because of reasons. And they become more numerous than the gen by far because reasons. I do think it is funny though, because like this face right here, that's how you wear a veil. Right. And
Yep.
they're supposed to be black veils specifically. But half the time we don't get black veils. They get whatever they have on hand. And once we get
Also,
into
the other
veils,
guy, he already failed himself when they were trying to save the other guys, right?
well, yeah, they're trying to be anonymous. These are supposed to be dust blockers. Like they're supposed to be like when we go to a sandstorm that prevents it from getting into my breathing system and everything. But it's just anyway, we're moving on. And this is that right there is where he's digging into his eyeballs. If you want to see it,
Yeah, okay.
He's getting ready to put showering gun.
yeah. And then we have
Oh yeah,
Moraine.
this is where Moraine is stealing the shiny orb.
Oh look, I found the most powerful song real for women. How convenient.
This confirms what I was saying last week. They're getting rid of Soda and Kyle and replacing it with
But
Kyle.
we're not there yet. We mentioned that when the
So
flashback
again,
was-
reiterating, it's not Amis,
Shiny.
it's Bear because reasons.
stupid reasons, but
Be
yeah.
gone from the living, and then we get this weird freaking. I don't know what the frick this is, but this is not
Yeah.
anything I expected from the books. Also,
I'm not
this is
entirely
supposed to
sure
be
how
this
the
is supposed to be
circles
in
are
a
described.
plaza. This does not look like a plaza. this looks like a random sand dune flat area,
Yeah.
and it's just like, hey, we're gonna throw these
And
three
also,
rings.
it's specifically a plaza that's filled with other terangrial and regular angrial as well.
Yeah.
Maybe some sangrial, I don't know.
Everything. It had the keys to the Shodan Call there.
Yeah.
And then you have
So,
Avienda doing her weird
also,
little
I'm not
swimming
entirely
dance.
sure on the details, but I was under the impression that if you go into the rings, you disappear similarly to what happens with the
door
accepted
frame.
test.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, but
It's
again,
not that you're sort of stuck there floating around.
why are we
right?
doing this Scream thing? Like we're trying to turn this into a horror film or something. I don't get it. It just they're trying to make it so over dramatic that it loses all dramatic possibility.
Yeah.
And then she's just like, "Hey, she's screaming in pain. Let me jump in. Look
Also,
at
you're
this
supposed to go through all
ballet."
3 of the rings,
No,
right?
look at that. She's like swimming. Like watch this. So she goes in, and she's like, "Woo, woo." Look at her hands.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, what is that?
that's
That's what like they
that's
do
called
with like the
guess.
ballerinas or the guys that are like wired up and they jump them into the air and they like do flips and stuff. Like, that's not acting. That's like, I'm going to do a dance in the air. As somebody you know right next to you is screaming in horrible pain and suffering. What is this nonsense? And they keep on doing that. Imagine if there was 4 people trying to do this at the same time. Sucks to be you. You have to wait in
one
line.
has to wait for like 7 days.
Die of starvation before anything. And then again, this is just literally flashbacks of all the different
Flashback, but it's not really a flashback because Moraine is
Well,
the Amelin.
these are like future possibilities and stuff, but it's like flicker, 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 flicker,
Yeah,
flicker,
but this is
flicker.
not a future possibility.
I hated this.
This is an alternate presence.
I thought this entire like bit they did here, honestly, leaving aside, we'll go back to the whole Robert Jordan died in Vietnam, the real time concept. Just for the sake of their crappy show, this was stupid. You know, like
fire.
always.
So why was land on fire there? The fuck happens?
This land is on fire.
This land is on fire.
So out of nowhere, Lan is in the tower and he's on fire.
As you usually are when you're a man in the tower.
Yeah, look, what is going
that
on here?
That fire looks atrocious, by the way. That was horrible. I've seen video games with better fire graphics than that. And she's like, oh no. Instead of being wherever she was and throwing water on him or something, she's like, oh no, allow me to. Woo.
Just use the one power to put the freaking fire out.
I know,
she does.
But she has to be on top of him because it has to be in screenshot. Not like I can do this from literally wherever I am. That I can see him.
You get like you're doing too deep a dive on.
Yes, that is what I do, Matt.
What I'm getting at is this whole bit of showing all this future stuff that now they have to work specifically towards these scenes.
Why is he sitting on the chair, by the way?
That was a very weird thing.
Isn't this? I'm guessing this scene here is in the books. Remember when he got a group of the Aes Sedai to agree to follow his orders?
He didn't go grab a chair first to sit down in the middle of a circle.
No, I'm guessing that's going to be that scene.
By the way, this is the 3rd person that they use prosthetics on him for.
Oh, the worst is coming, though. The worst is coming.
You said 2, good sir. You're a liar.
And this is the second one.
No, you have Janduin. You had...
Janduin only has a beard.
No, he had the eyebrows things and everything, too.
No, that's the second one that's unnamed.
They're both of them. It's not Yasha as himself, like without any touch-ups. They literally touched him up.
They just threw some dirt in his face.
Anyway, oh my gosh, no, they didn't. Beards don't just pop on faces. That's not that.
Well, okay, they did the beard, sure.
And where's Mummy and Dawn? Just like, we're all stupid because we have. I hate that storyline so freaking much.
Also, there's only 2 people that continue with this caravan. So how does that repopulate?
Everybody else is, well, yeah, well, and I believe that's 2 boys. So explain that one.
Yeah. One is also old, so he's going to die soon.
Well, I meant more like 2 men can't have children, which we'll find out
but
later is another awkward opposition.
But he's going to die soon, so it will only be the little kid.
I don't know if he's gonna die because he can lift a whole cart.
Look how
by
old
himself.
he is. He can't barely move.
He can lift a cart by himself.
Yeah,
dude.
but he also can't move his arm here to put the flower on the head, right?
Yeah. Look after this tree with this most powerful sawgrail ball thingy in the middle of it. Really dumb. And like Latra shows up at the freaking. Why didn't she just bring it herself? It's stupid. And then the little boy's like, "I'm helping." Blah 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 blah. This is what it's supposed to look like.
Okay.
It looks like freaking Mordor in the distance, honestly.
Well, to be fair, this is the breaking of the world, so.
And then this is Star Wars
This
Knights of
is,
the Old Republic.
Randail, yeah.
This is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Just like right there and
Like
right
worse.
there.
This is like Transrand or something.
This is what he looked like when he was younger. And this is Latra.
Yep.
And
So he's not loose therum on there, right? This
Who?
Rand in the show, like the character he's there is not loose therum on, right?
No. He's just a random Aiel.
This is
So
one of
this is after all the male Aes Sedai were dead.
This is the very end.
No
of
male
the,
Aes Sedai showed up.
This is the very end of the War of the Shadow.
Yeah.
So this is where the Aiel gets sent off to bring all the Terangreal to Iridian.
You cannot do
and
this.
save the trees.
Watch.
This again is confusing because
I don't know who Celinda is. But
that's a made-up character.
Yeah, does not have a purpose.
They're confusing the audience by having Yasha play these characters because Luth Theron Telma is supposed to be alive in this time period.
And that's what I'm saying is that
no, he's actually dead at this point.
Well, yes, but I'm saying at the last one we get, when the bore is opened, Luth Theron is alive.
Yeah.
But he is not Yasha.
Mm-hmm.
But he's supposed to be Yasha.
Well, if you can,
and maybe it was more clear to me because I read the books.
Well, obviously, I know who these people are in terms of like who their ancestry and everything. That part doesn't bother me. The part that bothers me is that they already are doing like the hand-to-hand thing or the face-to-face thing where like it's Yasha, it's new guy, it's Yasha, it's new guy, it's Yasha, it's new guy. We know who he's supposed to represent, so you could literally have used anybody.
Remember, they planted the notion that Matt has all these past lives, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, good point.
So now they have Yasha with all these past lives or Yoren or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, but Matt's aren't his ancestors, though. That's the difference.
The only past life that matters, well, again, should be Luth Theron Telman from Rand's point of view. So I agree with you. For different reasons, they should have different actors playing these roles.
Yeah. Well, it should have been so we can see, like, oh, we know that they did a pretty moderately decent job. I know I feel like I'm going to vomit saying that, but they did a pretty decent job in saying, like, here's Rand's face, and then here's Ancestor's face. So you can relate and correlate, hey, this character is Rand's ancestor. And then they also are the main focal point of the set that they're in, which lets you also reiterate, this is Rand's ancestor. There's multiple things that tell you this is Rand's ancestor, so who plays him doesn't matter, except if it's Yasha, because Yasha doesn't make sense because it's like, I'm going to do a thing, like a play, and I'm going to play myself and all my ancestors, and you're going to be like, so which one are you? Over and over and over again. It's a bad representation, and I don't know why they did it. There's no logical reason to do it. Ironically, Celinda here, or Celinda, this Aes Sedai looks the closest to what I would expect an Aes Sedai. You can't tell if she's super old or super young.
Yeah, but that's because she has no hair.
Even with her hair, like if you see the actress, she still looks young enough, but old enough to be mature, which is agelessness.
Also, I wrote down next flashback, he is now wearing edgy clothing.
If The
Oh,
boar has been
this
sealed.
one he is? This one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like it's all
Oh,
black.
here's the whole thing about it. This male
and the
counterpart
heads.
is Kalendor.
Oh yeah. So Kalendor is the male complement to Sakanin, which is the most powerful female. Sakanin is the copy of Kalendor, let's say, that the Mandrid uses.
What I don't remember from the books is when the Stone of Tyr was made.
I think at the end of after the breaking.
Because it's made more like a castle fortress, not like a medieval. Like it's not made like a futuristic style.
It's made after the breaking of the world happens.
Okay, so Lews Therin himself did not plant
No, of course not.
Kalendor.
So,
but
we
it's
also,
only accessible by Randall Thor. So
we specifically know that that Kalendor was in this is supposed to be in this scene where the Aiel get their mission to save the trees and go to find safety.
But they're talking about the Stone of Tyr right here, which it shouldn't exist.
It shouldn't exist at this point.
And somebody puts Kalendor in the Stone of Tyr, in the heart of the stone, but in a way that only the dragon can touch it. But the only person that would be able to do that would be the dragon.
I don't think that's true.
It's literally how the book says. The book says no one but the Dragon Reborn can touch this. That's why Bilal and everybody else doesn't touch it. Because the traps and everything would kill it.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it just need to be super powerful to...
The Forsaken are super powerful. That's not gonna do.
Like literal top tier. So only Ishamael would be able to, maybe.
Ishi could have shown up at any point in time and grabbed it.
Yeah, but maybe he just didn't care.
That's
I mean,
not a valid
I don't know
argument,
I don't know the details of how they locked up Kalendor.
That's the thing is, we're never told. But I just find it funny because it's like if you're going to set it up, it would make sense that.
But we do know,
but he wouldn't use it that way
after the breaking. Maybe with the help of a few channelers who are still barely sane.
So I went to the wiki, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so after learning the foretellings of the prophecies of the dragon, the Aes Sedai at the time built the Stone of Tyr to safeguard Kalendor. They placed it in the central heart of the stone, surrounded by powerful warriors Saidin and Saidar, to prevent anyone other than the true Dragon Reborn from claiming it. These wards were so effective, not even the Forsaken could circumvent them.
So, okay, well, if you have people who are Aes Sedai making these, and then you have the Forsaken who are former Aes Sedai that could also make these things, why would they not be able to break them out?
Because the Forsaken are limited in number, and maybe they did this with a large...
But even if you did that, how is one random, aka the dragon, show up and not get burned to scissors?
Maybe.
That's not how that works. That's not how that works.
Clearly, the only obvious explanation, they tied it to the soul.
But how they can't deal with souls? With the one power can't, like, I can't pull your soul out of your body with the one power, so how am I going to be able to tie anything to a soul? And again, it's a conundrum. There's not a whole lot of answers for this.
Kalendor can channel the true power.
This is like one of those little take your thumbprint.
Well, yes.
Like, you are the Dragon Reborn. Congratulations. Here's your soul.
They don't know that it can channel the true power though.
But maybe the one that okay.
Yeah, if you could channel the true power, wouldn't you be able to bypass all the freaking wards anyway?
If you can, no. Let's bear with me. We have no idea how exactly any of that occurred. We only know what, roughly speaking, right? So this is all speculation as to how they can make it so only the Dragon Reborn could mess with the sword, mess with Kalendor, right? So maybe the Aes Sedai at the time knew as much as the Forsaken did, right? About how the power works and all.
It's almost like they're all from the same time period.
Yeah. So maybe they were aware. Remember, Lanfear is looking for the true power, right? And she's well publicized that this other power must exist, right? So
no, I do think it's publicized.
She talks about. I mean, it's our project. Well, it's in our. I mean, if
you don't publicize before actually.
No, but when you put in a budget for your project, you're gonna say, "What are you doing?"
It might be her like pitch. Is like, hey, we need this in the budget because this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to find this
Fair
thing.
enough.
So the other side, when War Power is going on, right, and they make Kalendor, right, because they know that this is going to happen again 3,000 years later, the prophecies, whatever. And like, we need to make it only the soul of the Dragon Reborn can do this, right? Now, all this research that Mierin had did says that this true power could do anything, even touch souls. So maybe they use the Kalendor to tap the true power,
But can
to
it?
the soul part.
I don't know. But
Well,
let's-
we don't
we
know.
only know
we
that's
there's so much we
Aragorn.
don't know because there's not something there
Yeah.
to tell us. So let's not dwell on it too crazy
Fair
much. I
enough.
mean, we've already
I'm
gone.
just
With it.
about to screw it out there. I'm saying there's
How does
a mechanism for them to do this.
I heard this line and I just burst out laughing because it was so stupid. It's like, for one, everyone who is involved with this is going to be dead at some point. And this particular ancestor does not make it there.
By the way, I wasn't impressed with the breaking of the world as we have seen.
It was really lame.
No, but it was just starting though, right?
It was still really lame. The orb thing is supposed to be floating inside of a city. There was no city where the orb thing
Yeah.
was.
No, but we're not there yet.
I know, but I'm saying that whole thing was stupid.
All the male channelers are dead in one of the last scenes we saw.
Keep the way
So
of the
in
leaf.
this scene,
This is the other thing. Why is the way of the leaf important? We're not told why it's important, just that they think it's important. And why would the Aes Sedai think it's important when the Aes Sedai are going out not keeping the way of the leaf?
because the Aes Sedai, to be honest, are quite stupid.
Well, that is true.
Yeah.
Oh, what? They're like the Lidra.
Well, it's like the whole, strong men create, strong men create easy times, easy times
yeah.
create weak men, and
Weak
weak
men.
men create hard times, and then hard times
Yeah.
create, yeah. That's that whole kind of a thing. Then they're at peak of civilization. They're at the lowest they can get. They're not striving to be better. They're just sucking at life.
Yep.
But again, keep the way of the leaf. Why? Why can't you just denounce it and say, I renounce my belief in the way of the leaf, but I will do as you asked, and then move on? Nothing would
You
have
are
changed.
stuck in this way of the leaf thing, aren't you?
It
Yeah,
really
he-
irritates me because from a from a logical perspective,
Yeah,
it's absolutely
but
absurd.
People are not logical.
I know because the Aes Sedai in this series are freaking retarded.
Retarded
This is
is not
known.
necessarily the opposite of logical.
It's extreme. Illogical is pretty retarded. So, but either way, it's like creating a story and then throwing in something for flavor, but it not really needing to be there. It's just like fluff.
Yeah.
It's like if
But
you took it
also-
out, nothing would really like it wouldn't change. It
This
wouldn't be that big
means
of a deal.
that the Mandrid is actually a woman.
Probably.
Yeah.
Gina,
I don't think Demon Dread's been announced, and I don't know how many guys are in this except for like 3.
Oh, I got
so
it, guys. Andromeda. There you go.
Romandromeda, so she's like Romanda. Or,
Maybe.
I don't know. And then we get Bones, Blood, Just Swear, blah, 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 the whole like 10 of them.
Mhm. Yep.
And then everybody's favorite part. You guys ready?
Yeah. Well, actually,
Woo!
at what point did they change the carriages from being?
They also have
super
their rings on the wrong hand. I just put that. But anyway.
So at what point did they switch from the fancy high-tech looking carriages to the carts that they have a few generations down?
They
And I-
apparently were working in like cyber tech while also Amish tech. It's the weirdest thing in the world.
Well,
Yeah.
They had the ability to fly, so they had like hovercrafts and stuff you'd expect in like
Mhm.
Star Wars.
Also, to be fair, I think they started just walking, right?
No, they had carts.
Yeah, but the carts only carried they weren't.
It was the supplies
horse-
and everything for them to go on this long journey. We don't know where this was originally located because the whole thing gets shuffled like a rug. It's just like they go,
That's-
and everything on the continent goes which way, what way.
The
Everything
impress-
is created.
Also,
Wherever they were started from to get to the waste, we don't know how long it takes them to get to the waste, but they go through a lot of supplies, mostly because it's stolen from them. But why would you send them out and not send soldiers with them to protect them from people that are not good?
Lack of foresight.
Okay, we already said they were retarded. We can't keep saying that over and over again. They're absolutely retarded.
Is there a difference?
Uh,
Explanation?
and then we have two
also,
gay guys that are somehow going to be having children together.
No. This Comtran guy, apparently that's his name
Comran.
from the text. Comran, yeah.
Comtran.
He's going to die. I didn't know.
He's going to die, and then a girl's going to slide into his DMs.
Yeah. Yeah, because that is the only way.
We don't have proof that happens in this, by the way. Just saying.
It has to, because he's an ancestor.
You say it has to, but he's obviously so smitten with this guy.
You cannot be an ancestor.
He would rather die alone. He
children.
would rather. I didn't say the show was logical. What is wrong with you? I can't say retarded only so many times in one video, dude. But he's obviously so smitten with this guy that when he dies, he would rather die alone than go to the arms of a woman. Filthy, nasty women. Say that again, Matt?
Rand's in it for long out of ass babies.
Yeah.
Also,
we call those poops.
Way of the Leaf, right? Very non-violent people. But if you look at how he handles his horse, right? That seems very violent.
He's like beating it to death.
Well, it's a horse. It deserves it.
Why are we not using the high tech that is available to us? And why would you not do the things that you value the most? Like, also keep in mind, we have the most powerful saw Angreal in a cholla plant.
Yep,
a cholla sapling specifically. That's being sent in with tens of thousands of Genaiel. Excuse me. And they're going out, but you're like, we're not going to give them any high-tech way to survive.
Maybe all the high-tech stuff got destroyed.
This is later. The one who's like, oh, you want to bore a hole in reality and look for mysterious power? Go for it. Or hey, Blue, you want to
here it goes.
Fuck up the world? Nah, we won't do that.
I mean, look at that violent face, right?
I mean, he's living, walking violence as the Wail of the Leaf practitioner. Blah, blah, blah. Each step forward goes back in time. This was really stupid.
Yeah. So
they actually put Lanfear in white for once. I was actually
also,
impressed.
This particular guy is not supposed to meet Lanfear.
Well, he didn't. He met Celine.
No, I mean, okay, fine.
Something about the opening.
In the actual book, he got reassigned to her because apparently they are slaves, right? That's a thing.
They're servants of all.
Wow.
Like the Aes Sedai, they just can't channel.
But he got reassigned to Lanfear, and then as he was almost at his destination because he was going there, because the Column Dan is where the Lanfear was.
That's when the boar was torn open.
Heading there. Before he arrived, the thing exploded / collapsed, and the world ended. So
the world as they knew it ended. It didn't literally end, but yeah.
Well,
but and this is where it comes down to playing the actor again. And they have a different actor for Lews Therin, to be fair. They shouldn't have. I don't know why they went with that other guy, but whatever.
Well, technically, he would look different. But
I mean, he would, but so would all the ancestors.
Well, that's why I think the mess up was like the only part. See, if they were gonna have a flashback to Lews Therin, this is we're trying to fix this stupid show for them. You know what I mean? Well,
yeah.
I can't do that. I just can't.
Also, Lanfear is actually the good guy. She just wants everyone to be able to use the power.
And this here is Rand's ancestor, who was a Padawan to a Jedi Master.
Oh yeah, Lanfear is the good guy in the current show too. Don't you know that?
They give him the hideous haircut and the rat tail braid thing. It's just a thing they do. What did you say, Matt? Sorry.
So Lanfear is the good guy in the show entirely. Harlan Leander.
That's true.
I mean, the bad guys so far have been the good guys. Although I would argue that Leandra's not a good guy no matter what because she's retarded. But
I can see that happening. Yeah.
And then you have Mirren doing Mirren stuff, and then they have this little dumb face look thingy.
Leandra can't be retarded. She has an extra brain on her jaw.
You know what's really funny about this though? It's quite literally we have from this point. He's like, I'm gonna leave. The Aiel servants singing in the old tongue. They don't call him Genaiel or anything.
No, because they're not.
They're out
Christian.
here singing. He shows up. He's right here.
Mm-hmm.
She was still watching him when he was going out. So like she's still technically out there up here in a window.
No, that's from the different perspective. The floating orb is not where they were looking from.
Where are they looking from? There's nothing else around.
No, so if you go back a bit further,
How
when
far?
they look outside, right?
I don't know if that's gonna like show
No,
us
where we
outside.
see actually outside as well.
They're looking down.
No, but could you skip it back a bit further
How far back? I don't know how far back we're going.
until we can actually see outside of the window?
They have to actually show us outside the window for that to happen. And I can only do like the little bits and pieces here, there, and so. Notice the angle. We are in a hovercraft, good sir.
Maybe. But at some point, you can see
And
the
she is
outside.
definitely wearing
and
like
it
middle-aged
might be
woman clothes.
a bit further back. But once you see the outside, they're arranged in a line in a specific way, and the wreath is on the right side of them, from the perspective of the window. So we're looking at them from the opposite side of where the orb is floating.
I like how she calls it the true power when she wouldn't know what it was even called. Like even as a concept. Something anyone anywhere can use, which is also a lie. It would still have to be a channeler to use it.
That's a book debate, though. Like, what did Mira know and when did she know it? You know what I mean?
Okay, so we'll go back. This is probably it.
No, it's way earlier.
Well, I think they're about to look out the window right here. So there's the line in the background.
No, that's not what I meant.
Of a ridge.
But you can see the trees on the right side. I'm pretty sure the scene is way in the beginning where you first see the people outside and then it zooms back into the window.
Oh, you're talking about like when we first see them?
I think so, but I'm not entirely sure.
Because here she goes to look back out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're doing this whole thing like she recognizes him. And that's the other problem, is that she knows who Rand is now. And she can see who this guy is, who looks just like Rand. She would have the memory of this guy.
No, but of course she would recognize her servant.
Yes, but not as Luce Theron.
No, but
whom she loves.
What makes you think that she's talking?
Because she's using dialogue saying you need to hold on to the things you love, as if in the future she will go back for him because she loves him.
About Luce Theron.
But she's not. That's what the show's doing wrong. Keep up with the program, good sir.
You're getting trapped in what the book did well versus what the show does not do well, which is everything.
So see the trees on the right side?
Yes, but they're also aiming that way.
They're aiming towards where we love.
It's on both sides.
So watch. The tree line's in front. He's walking away from the sphere. They're doing their thingy.
Maybe.
Behind them, big orb.
Yeah, that's a bit too far. Spoilers.
None of this makes sense because there's no city that the orb's floating around. Why they're just like, I'm going to be standing at this window watching him walk out to his people, and they're going to do their party stuff. And then instantaneously, everything goes wrong. The whole thing just... all of reality just starts breaking open. Literally within seconds. Like she went full blown sprint to the boar and hit that giant red button and said, "Nuke it from orbit just to be sure." And that's literally how this happened on the screen. Like,
yeah. Also, this
that
looks
was
like a
fast forward.
glitch in the Matrix.
Well, it's supposed to be the boar, which I thought the boar was on the ground, not in the air.
Because when Rand at the end,
no, it was in the air.
I don't remember the boar being anywhere in the air. They had to drill into it. How do you drill into the air?
Because you're not drilling into a physical thing. You're drilling into the pattern itself.
So why is there a physical thing?
because
Yeah, but
it's a
okay.
location.
Spoilers for the end of the actual real book, guys. Not you guys, but the people listening. When Rand goes
Spoilers for me, for me and Sage.
not spoilers for Sage and us because we read the books, but when Rand at the end goes to confront the Dark One, he goes underground.
Yeah.
So regardless of the door opening in the sky, it must bore the hole must lead underground at some point.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's because the whole land mass got rearranged, so maybe the location got turned underground, right?
And then he kind of just falls over and gives up on life. I'm like, attaboy.
Because the underground is in the middle of a mountain, isn't it? Where the boar is.
Where the what is what?
The boar is in sort of in a mountain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when Rand goes at the end, yes.
The mountains don't exist here yet.
That too.
So the mountain gets created, covers the floating hole,
Mhm.
because as you could see, the hole doesn't care about what's flying around, right? It just goes through everything. And of course, when it got opened, all of the things that were floating stopped floating. So
I guess maybe the Dark One would build a mountain around his hole or something. You know.
yeah, maybe.
I mean,
But in the book, it was definitely
it's in Sheol Ghul, is where
created in the air.
I mean, the pattern would have been outside the normal physical reality anyway, so they just had to be somewhere. They had access to flying content,
Mm-hmm.
but apparently they didn't use it because Jedi-eel.
No, but by that point, that's the end of the war. Lots of stuff got destroyed, so maybe they didn't
yes,
have.
but manufacturing plants with little data pads or holocrons are easy enough to carry around. We have a Tirangrial in Randland active time period that literally is a ginormous library of books built into a little single Tirangrial.
Does
The knowledge wouldn't disappear.
Does most technology even work anymore? Because
Why wouldn't it?
the stuff at the Age of Legends was built in part with Sidin and Sidar working together. Like so Sidin is gone and corrupted. Any technology?
No, that's not true.
Well, it's corrupted, so it's going to corrupt anything it touches. So if you
It only corrupts those that use it.
Yeah,
because Sidin itself is uncorrupted, but to use it, you have to reach through.
You're going through sludge to access the pure Sidine. So Sidine itself is not going to do that. It's the person who's reaching in is going to have the problem. Now, the thing is that if they use it and make these fantastical flying things, they have trains. They have flying trains, for one, like a bullet train, but in the sky. They have also ground ones for some reason. Why would you want a ground one when you have a flying one? Whatever. But if you have these things, it almost implies that maybe they used kind of like a magitech type thing, where they use like magic.
That's what I'm saying.
But if you do that, you can make it like a nuclear power energy, like a nuclear unit, where it just creates its own energy and just always is hovering. It doesn't require a constant. It's not like there's an Aes Sedai who constantly pouring in magic to it for it to work.
Yeah, but everything would have to be destroyed for it to not show up.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense. It's just like stuff disappears or vanishes, and we don't know why. Now, I can understand when the carpet shakes and the whole continent gets remapped and everything. Lots of things on the ground would break, but that wouldn't affect anything in the air. Which is why I would say use the air.
When the war happened, right? Everything fell from the sky. So maybe
I don't remember that part.
Flying.
I don't remember that part being mentioned. I'll have to look it up. But
okay, but
I'm just not sure if it reaches out onto the whole world, but at least around the column down, everything crashed to the ground.
And now we have Rand with his really lame dragons.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're still not golden reds.
Where did they put this money into? I don't understand.
It would have been interesting to see the dragon actually forming on his arms.
No, you can see
that's what they did right here.
No, but I mean like burning on, like something painful.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I mean,
yeah, it's
nothing says that they're painful to get.
No, but like they're inscribed on him. So like,
yeah,
like we can read the book and understand.
It's magic though. They could do that without like having a sedation or something. Like
again, we're correcting their shit show, so we can read
Well,
the
no,
book.
I'm saying even in the books doesn't say that they're like even imply that there's anything like painful
Well, you don't need
about
that
it.
in the book because we read it all. We understand the weight of what he's getting, right?
Yeah.
Show in the book, the show that it's a show not tell. You have him like as he's looking at his arms, you see him flashing back to all the memories and shuddering it like pain. Like show have him act, not just lay there. Have him act as if something is happening to him when the dragon's upon his arms.
Then we get Lanfear talking. This is where it gets really freaking weird. Her hair's cut for some reason, and we get all these like apparently the new Dreadlords, as opposed to um, I don't know if it's supposed to be partial. Why? What is up with these freaking huge, hideous looking hats? I don't get it.
I don't know.
So
But,
this is Elaine.
yes, Rand
This
says he
is
doesn't want
Matt.
to leave
This
Moraine
is
behind, right?
Nynaeve, Egwene, Rand. I'm assuming Perrin and Min, maybe. Oh no, that's Moghedien.
Why would Min be there?
I don't know. That the only other Forsaken. That's Matt. That's Elaine, Nynaeve, Egwene, who's still wearing stupid short. He's freaking pissing me off. And Rand.
Rand, yeah.
I.
The left is completely dark on my screen, so I can't see that.
Oh, this one
Be
here.
Perrin.
Oh, you're pointing at it, but you can't see it. This one right there.
I suppose that could be Perrin, but hard to say for sure.
I mean, it could be Perrin or Logain. I don't know why it's Logain. If you'd have Matt and Elaine there, but
That's fair. Yep.
like they slit her throat,
Um,
whatever. They move to the next one, and then we get the sex scene with Rand,
Oh, okay.
and then we start
That
getting.
flashed by, so I didn't really register that was what happened.
Yeah, I don't know if I can show that on YouTube, but then it's just literally just like cut, slash, ooh, dead, ooh, dead, ooh, dead, ooh, dead. And I'm like, that's the best part of the
Yeah.
series so far.
10 million times.
Killing
by
Moraine
Lanfear.
over and over again, and dead.
And
dead.
Rand is not going anywhere without Moraine for some reason.
And now choking in bed because they like that kind of play.
Yeah, I guess.
Even in the context of
This face, by the way.
Why does everything have to be screaming torture and everything? Like, I get that you're dying in the freaking dream, but it's literally a dream. You're not physically like dying because you're still remembering it after you're dead.
Well, actually, would you?
even in the context of their shit
Your
show,
heart would give out on you if you had to literally physically experience that kind of death every single time.
I get that, but like, is this Terangrial not similar to the
No, apparently not.
the accepted one?
It's never explained in the books because they don't follow the women; they follow Rand and Matt.
That's fair.
Because it's
yeah.
literally not necessary for us to know.
The main character and the other the
Yeah.
main supporting character.
Imagine a story following the main character instead of the side characters.
Good points. Good
And then
points.
we have
Yeah,
Rand.
here we
or
know
not
that
Rand,
they have
oh
been
my
waiting
gosh.
there for 7 days,
Yeah, Lan and Egwene.
which I guess is technically correct.
Emotional music plays. I don't know if you guys were paying attention to the music in this thing. It was like a
Music?
freaking dubstep. Like this whole series is like
Is that music?
the freaking weirdest sound. Well, no, like literally was saying emotional music plays.
Yeah, but I didn't really register any music.
The
when I
only
was there.
time I was actively listening for it this season. I was like, maybe they changed the score. Maybe the score will be good this time because the first two were completely forgettable. But it's like
This one is also completely forgettable.
it's like cyber lo-fi.
I literally do not remember a single bit of music from this episode.
The only thing memorable in this entire show is Moraine accusing Rand of domestic violence. That's the only thing I'll remember from 10 years from now from my life.
I guess.
And Rand
Yeah, so
carries
Rand
Moraine
is
out,
apparently just carrying Moraine out because that happened.
and then Egwene comes out, and we're not gonna.
It's over! Hooray!
This was brutal, guys. Like, I don't want to relive this twice.
The worst of all the
I have to
episodes.
go dunk my head in a big, huge bathtub of bleach or something. And then I'll scrub my memory.
So Lan and Egwene were just waiting at the spear fence for some reason.
Well, they were waiting at the Wise One tents specifically there.
Yeah, but
because
then they're suddenly at the spear fence.
they ran forward to see them because they saw them coming up or something. I don't. Again,
Even though it was all foggy.
Well, in theory,
yes.
which wouldn't land.
Well, coming up the slope wouldn't have been foggy, but coming up the slope, they wouldn't have been able to see them because the slope hits and then goes down.
But
It's
in
gonna-
theory, land would sense our coming back. So
that too. Well, that's assuming she's
Oh,
not
yeah,
still
I
hiding the
forgot.
bond, but I don't know.
That's true.
I mean, you could give them the benefit of the doubt and say land knew because of the bond, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's fair. I guess also he would know that they're not.
we
dead.
also, well, I mean, there's that too. He's not going berserk. So, it's also possible that the bond is that cloud prevents, like, it blocks the bond the entire time, so he feels like empty and void
Maybe.
or whatever. I don't know, because I mean it blocks everything else apparently, except for people walking in. But for some reason, Lanfear and Asmodean can't get in until the clouds go away. So something Rand does.
Definitely can go in because Asmodean goes in and they fight
That
inside.
was after.
No.
Yes.
No.
After Rand comes out. Like, Rand going in caused like this weird distortion thingy that screwed with the normal stuff around the Rudion. And then he also started popping up those pools of water and stuff like that and things.
I'm pretty sure that happens afterwards. So Asmodean and Rand go in and they fight while it's still clouded. And during the fights, a lot of the power gets used, and so the barrier dispels itself.
That was at Elkerdal, wasn't it? Because he uses a gateway, like a skimmer thingy, to follow Asmodean to Ruidion.
Yeah.
And
But Ruidion is at that point still shrouded.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I remember that Rand Rand's like, I need water. It's like, psh,
yeah.
I can just make water happen, and poof, here's a fountain.
But it's because of their battle that the barrier gets dispelled, because it's just too much power there.
Its power level's over 9,000.
And so we know Asmodean can get in.
Then why did they not go there to begin with?
I don't know what they need there. Maybe they
were looking for the Shodan Call, but I mean,
well, maybe he can get in, but he can't. He still has to deal with the mess of Ruidion and the memory bullshit.
Yeah, but the memory stuff's only in this particular area. It's not the entire city.
Exactly. It's
so you like Matt wandered around and didn't have to worry about anything.
I got the impression that the stuff you'd want, like the Jordan, are inside the memory area, like protected.
Yeah, but Matt got there.
But it's Matt. He's a Taviran.
Yes, but he didn't have to go through memory stuff. Is my point. Like, his path to get there did not change that.
He's a Taviran. He walked the exact right path needed for him not to have the memory stuff.
But Rand literally says, "You stay out here," and he does, and that's where he finds the redstone door, the twisted redstone door specifically.
Every time you bring up Matt, you could say he's Taviran.
That's the cop out.
But that's the way he's written.
No. The Taviran is to explain certain aspects. It's not a get out of jail free card. It's like, well, we didn't.
But Matt, it is. He literally can hear it in his head. Rolling the dice.
That's luck, though. That's not Taviran.
He can hear it going off.
I know. That's I'm saying.
That's manipulating itself for him.
That's luck and chance. That's not the pattern in every aspect.
Being Taviran means the pattern basically alters around you. Okay.
Yes.
In this case, it alters to his favor.
But it's not going to alter the steps in front of him and turn him into like a slide that just swings him straight towards the thing he needs at the time he needs it. He still has to walk there. He still has to go there.
Yeah, but wherever something's gonna happen. Like maybe he's walking into a well and a bunch of wild dogs will suddenly chase him to where he has to be. That's the way his visibility works. You know.
And I just looked something up, and apparently, the specific part, there is a line in the book that says, "I brought Asmodean to teach you, but he was always one to leap to another plan if the first proved difficult. Now he thinks he has found something better for himself in Ruidion, and he is off to take it while you stand here."
Yeah.
Which is during the point where he is at Elkerdal.
Yeah, so Elkerdal. Now,
So
that doesn't explain, though, what Ruidion... That doesn't explain what if Ruidian's in the same state or a different state. I don't know whether it is or not.
No, but this is just to reference that.
Well, I know.
He
I'll
only
take your word
then
for it because that it
figured
makes
out
sense either way.
maybe there's something in Rudian that I can use.
Yeah, so he knows something's there. But
Yeah, but only
why?
now. No,
Why didn't he go to begin? I don't get it.
I
he
don't
just
know.
learned it. He jumps to a different plan if the first proves difficult.
I know, but what did he just learn, and who did he learn it from, and how they know, and all that type of stuff? Like, why was that information
Like,
not
just
privy
because
to
you
him
get that
originally?
doesn't mean it's actually going to work.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know. I got the impression that the defenses around the importance of Meridian were thorough. So it wasn't like, otherwise, why didn't Forsaken swarm the place to begin with?
Well, that's what I'm asking. It's like if it was so easy for them to just saunter in, why did they just do it whenever they wanted to?
Something that had to be making it difficult.
Probably because he wasn't aware of stuff being there.
Well, you're not going to know until you show up. The whole
Yeah,
the
no,
whole
but
concept of Ruidion is extremely mysterious.
they specifically went there with the idea that he was to teach Rand, or at least that was Lanfear's plan.
Well, that was the original intent. At
At
least
that point,
that was Lanfear's intent. I don't know if it was Asmodeus' intent.
maybe it became clear afterwards from Moraine talking or something that there were Terangriel hidden in Viridian. And then he learned, oh, maybe there's the access key.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know because I can't read his mind because he's not a real person and I also don't have that power.
What do you mean he's not a real person, you heathen?
Wait, you don't have that power saved? Then why do we have you on the show?
I know. Aren't you supposed to be some sort of Taviran or something?
I mean, you are a
maybe.
sage.
Hopefully not retarded like those Age of Legends sages.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think so.
About that.
So this episode was obviously it sucked. Like all the other episodes sucked. We all agree with that. I think
it was better than the other episodes, but it still
was the best episode
that's
among
what I'm saying.
all the episodes they have.
Stepping on a small landmine is better than stepping on a big one. You know?
Yeah.
Well, like I was mentioning the cookie with the poop sprinkles on it.
Yeah, that's a really shitty analogy, to be honest.
Yeah. Thank you. Somebody appreciates it. But no, that's a Beardo thing. I just like taking it to make the analogy. It's also like when that you guys have seen the meme probably with the guy who's like crouching over with his butt hanging out like he's about to poop on a plate, and he's like, "What do you mean? How do you know it's gonna be crap? It hasn't come out yet." It's like,
no, I will be charitable.
It's prairie dogging, guys. We know, we can see it. It's there. But it's that kind of a mentality where you're like, here, take this crap, and I just like fling it. Just like, no, I don't want it.
We can say it's every episode, but like let's say they're legit trying now this season to get back towards the book, right? They're too far gone. They're just
there's no saving this.
And you wouldn't be able to. You've merged too many people and too many plot lines.
Too many things.
You have people in the wrong places at the wrong time simultaneously while they're supposed to be somewhere else.
And it makes no sense for Rand not to go to Tyr first. Makes no sense for that. Because
he needs an army, right? Otherwise he can't get
if he's closer to the Aiel, like he's still at the stage in the books Rand is at, he's still not quite on board with this whole idea. You know what I mean?
He's not sure of it.
No, like he knows he's the Dragon Reborn, but he's not on board with being the Dragon Reborn, I guess is the best way to put it, right? So to me, part of his character growth is when he gets to Tyr, he decides to go to Tyr, he gets there, whatever.
Yeah, he's still in denial until he reaches Tyr. Because then he can deny that, in fact, he did fulfill the prophecy.
Yeah, gets Calendar, knows he's the Dragon Reborn, settles that, but now he meets Aiel, who begin to teach him a sort of about his own nature, like about his own, you know what I mean? Not so much directly, but watching him operate, seeing how they have a way, you know, like he begins to absorb other cultures into his sort of way of doing things, you know, and that journey to me is important. And then he gets to Viridian, not so much as in like it's like I don't know.
But more so, I think the Tyr situation is the first time he actually interacts with the Aiel.
Yeah.
And
him
first
specifically, yes, but he also reads a lot at Tyr about the dragon and about the Aiel
Yeah, but
and a bunch of stuff.
that's
And
the
this is that's a
Aiel
good
are
point.
already there.
Very
at that
good point.
right?
That's where Ren begins to be an intellectual about being the dragon.
It's also where he becomes more political because he's got Tom helping him out.
If you
Yeah.
go back and read through
The
it,
Tom that's literally missing. Like, why'd they ever actually introduce him into this show? I don't know, because he's literally gone and he's not coming back. So what's the
if,
point?
if
They not
you
recast him.
go back
No.
to the books and
I
Tyr,
heard some rumors about that.
He
but
was
maybe
he was an actor that had conflicting things. I'm like, if he has conflicting schedules, then why put him in there?
Yeah,
Pick
but
somebody else.
I heard that they were recasting him though, but maybe
But
that's
why?
just a rumor.
All the things that he has to like participate in is pretty much gone at this point.
so
He's not in Tanchico with the girls. He's not in Tyr with Rand. He's didn't go to the waste. Like his whole storyline, next one he's gonna be with is Matt, and that's an Ebu Dar type of thing. Or no, is he? No, Tom wasn't an Ebu Dar at that point, was he?
yeah, so he's gone. Until they recast, he's basically
Yeah.
gone.
There's not really a reason for them to have him or to cast him or recast him or anything.
So one of the big journeys Rand goes on now intellectually is his plan to cleanse Sidin. Okay. So
Yeah, which is what he specifically went through the doorways to ask how to do that.
Yeah.
In Tyr.
but I think the notion of doing it kind of began back in Tyr. The idea he can't just keep going crazy with his power. That's something that he had to approach it intellectually. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That he had to do so that, and I think they need to be again with this shit show. I don't think they're gonna have Rand cleanse it. I think they're gonna have one of the women do it.
Yeah, I can see that happening, especially since Moraine now has the shiny
Do
orb.
you think they're gonna keep Ebu Dar in? Because I think if they cut Ebu Dar, they could
I
have
think they might
Nynaeve. You could have
use
Nynaeve
Ebu
break her
Dar.
block at the time that it's purified, so that her block is a bigger deal than Sidene
Well,
being
they're
cured.
gonna
My
cut out the
best bet
whole.
is that they fuse Ibodar and Tanchico together.
What were they called? The women who could channel but weren't Aes Sedai.
Circle.
Circle?
Yeah, they're gonna cut them out completely.
Yeah, they are. The Bull of the Wind's whole arc and everything's gonna be gone. But that also causes other problems because Matt's Band of the Red Hand's not gonna be appearing for anything, so they're getting cut out, which is really annoying.
Oh yeah, you don't think there's a band that's getting cut out? Are you kidding? It's like
Yeah, well, no, band's my favorite part about the series, but
oh, the band is great. It's
Actually, I think it's called the Kin, not the Circle.
the kin has a circle. The circle's like the head of the kin.
yeah, the can. The
Okay,
can.
yeah, sure, that
Yeah.
makes
The point
sense.
I think they're getting cut out completely.
Yeah, they're getting cut out, but I didn't know if they'd go like Tylin and the Sean Chans collecting Ebu Dar. Otherwise, they're just making Ebu Dar just not exist. Amadesia, for all intents and purposes, doesn't or not Amadesia. Yeah, Amadesia. Doesn't exist for all intents and purposes outside of the White Cloaks, but they haven't shown the White Cloaks in Amadesia yet.
Well, we haven't seen Amadeus yet.
I know, so they're cutting that out. They're cutting out
also
Ebu
just mention it.
Dar, which was Altara. So they're cutting out Altara. We haven't seen Ilion, but we know it
Shouldn't it be-
exists.
Mal, I know they can't kill the character up, but
I don't think we see a season 4.
But even if they were going to do 8
And
seasons,
they're
they're
going to
not planning.
end season 3 into
Like
probably.
they're hurtling so fast towards the end that they're cutting out such huge swaths of plot. I don't see how you can make it work. Like they should have just done the whole series in one season. Just like here, 8 episodes, $15, go for it. Like you might as well. Like that's about as good as it's going to get.
They're cutting out the dragons for one, or they should have shown up by now.
Well, Massima's in this. Massima's already gone crazy. So what's happening
Yeah,
with Massima?
He's just crazy off screen.
Yeah.
But then you have all the Forsaken trying to move their plots and plans. What plots and plans? Their bases of operation and everything. Gillidan's not going to show up. Altara's not going to show up. Amadisia's not going to show up. Arad Damon's not going to show up. The Borderlands as like a whole outside of Shinar is not going to show up. But we know that obviously Fail is from Saldaea, but Saldaea's not going to show up. But I don't think they've even mentioned that she's from Saldaea. So for all intents and purposes, she's not from Saldaea. No one said she's got the nose of a Saldaean. No one said she looks like she's Saldaean. we can't have that because everywhere is multicultural, so we don't know where anybody is or what's going on or anything. Like, I don't. How is this not frustrating to people who are normal? Because I'm not normal, but like I just I can't see how I'm like looking at this and being like, this should be extremely irritating to literally anybody who has half a brain who says they like the series. Like, as much as I despise The Way of the Leaf and I despise the Jedi Eel and all that stuff, I still accept it as part of the series. I take it as a whole. I still have my own. I have my own thoughts outside of the series and saying that shouldn't have to have happened because, from a writing perspective, it doesn't add anything to the story. It could have been removed and not a big deal. They could have had honor and obligation from the very get-go, so you don't need the broken oath in order for that to happen. You could have had them do a whole bunch of stuff and then just end up in the waste and experience hardship, and the hardship is what makes them become hard, and they become clans, and then go from there. Like, they could have done all that type of stuff completely separate, but I still accept that it's in the books, and I accept the books because I'm a fan.
Huh? Just like I despise the Sean Shan and Cat Swan, I accept the part of the books. I despise them. Oh.
I actually don't mind the Sean Shan. I think that they're idiots because they can't logically reason things. Like, they don't have a single philosopher in all of Shandar or anywhere in the Sean Shan lands, because any single philosopher been like, but what happens if the thing that we're controlling our weapons with is actually a weapon itself and they're secretly hiding? Maybe we should try that first.
You can edit them entirely out of the series and take the two things they do that are relevant and give them to someone else, and it wouldn't change. It would.
Well, they do cause a lot of strife, and the strife.
What's happened anyway?
Well, no. If the Sean Shan don't show up, Rand's walks over all of Randland. There's no contest. There's no.
Well, he did that anyway.
No, he didn't. He got held back by the Sean Shan. He never took over Altara. He never took over Terabon.
Solo's a whole freaking army.
Yeah, he also killed most of his guys too. That was why Kalendor, he learned that he had to have a woman with him. Like, that's the whole thing.
The Sean Shan were nothing to impede Rand in any way. Nothing.
He withdrew. They never got pushed back.
Because of
they couldn't advance. That's what I'm saying, is that was like it was a mutual destruction. The Sean Shan got hurt enough to where they had to withdraw. Rand hurt enough of his own people where he has to withdraw.
So Rand comes back with the help of a female Chandler and wipes out the next Sean Shan army with all the consequences.
But he doesn't do that for whatever reason.
Whatever reason. The point is, you could have edited the Sean Shan out, taken a whole book of content, had Matt spend more time with the band in the Red Hand kicking ass.
Which would be better, in my opinion.
Like with those, they should have gone on blowing up stuff with those cannons left and right,
Well, and then you have things like, okay, well, if the Sean Shan don't show up, they're not at the last battle, which they have a massive army.
Someone else's army 10 times.
Just replace that with the White Cloaks.
Yeah,
the White Cloaks are not that big of an army, though. There might be 10,000.
But they might be if they take over all of the west.
That's an arbitrary stat. Make everyone's army in Randland 10 times bigger or whatever.
Well, there's already like 1 million people showing up at the freaking last battle.
Well, make it 2. I mean, the point is,
then you have to think of the economic logistics of how you're going to feed that many people during that entire period in which nothing's growing.
Oh, wait, slavery. I forgot about that.
Minor details.
Yeah. The point is, you could have edited them out and with fairly arbitrarily had a couple of important things.
Also, the Sean Shan are integral to knowing that you can collar Rand, because if the Sean Shan don't exist, the collar that can collar Rand doesn't exist. And you don't find out. And also, you don't have Semirog in charge of the Sean Shan.
And how important is the collar?
The collar is not necessarily tied to the Sean Shan.
It was made by the same woman who made the regular item.
Yeah, I know. But you can still have that as something you can find in the museum, even without...
But it still has to be created, and the person who created it is a person who made something else.
It doesn't have to be that...
I know, but I'm saying from the book perspective, that's a plot line that's kind of integral. That's how...
Sure.
Rand loses a hand. We get him and Min's relationship gets jacked up to no end because of that. You got a whole bunch of things happen because of that.
But you can have that collar exist without the Sean Shan.
Yeah.
I mean,
because the color is
From the
still
book perspective, no.
yes.
No,
Yes.
because the lady who was helping Shan is the one who
Yeah,
made
but
it.
the color remains in the Westlands, while the
Yes.
Xiantian are in their own land.
Well, they wouldn't
If
be able
they
to use it
never
anyway because they don't know how
return,
to use it.
but they might just figure it out.
Well,
Because
she also
we know
how
No
about
one in
such a-
Randland can figure it out. What are you talking about?
we know that
Well, how about
Hacienda
the
can
structure?
tell what Terangriel do.
I don't
She
think
can
they
just look at things and know, oh, this is how it works.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be that complicated. Have it that this crazy ISA that made it actually put the instructions on how to use it on the thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
but she
have
was
like a
collared,
little
remember?
notepad. So
But she wouldn't be in it. She would have been. She would since the Sean Chan don't exist. We're editing them out. She never would have went to the Sean Chan continent. But she would have made the Adams.
no, but we're not necessarily writing them out. We're just saying they didn't come back.
Either way, I mean, I'm writing them out. I mean, you're saying
That's fine.
I'm writing them out. And
I don't see a reason to write them out.
in my head, the ships all sank before they got to the continent.
We wouldn't
know.
have as much Matt content if we didn't have the Shan.
We have more good maps.
We would have different map content probably.
What's he going to do? He's already taken
He's
over the
going to,
continent at that point.
He's going to do his.
It's going to be literally. It would literally be a cakewalk if the Shan didn't show up. The Aiel would have conquered everything for him in a heartbeat. The Shan were a pushback force. There was no other pushback force.
Sure.
Trollocs are locked up in the north because of the borderlands. Shara's not showing up, and if you cut Shara, you have no enemies.
That they let the White Cloaks succeed, right? Because before Pedro Nile, I think, was assassinated, he had a big, massive plan to take over the entire.
Well, he wanted to take over
region.
Terabon and Aradamon and the Almoth Plain.
Yeah, which could have been a counterforce as well.
Possibly, but at the same time, getting them to agree was going to be weird anyway. But even if that was the case, he would not have made that big of an army.
And maybe, but why
Matt has a bigger military force than the White Cloaks, and the White Cloaks have been around a lot longer. So, and he's also much more effective than the White Cloaks. The White Cloaks charge like the retards they are.
We edited since we got rid of the Sean Chan. We've taken out about 2 books worth of chapters, so Matt doesn't have to spend as much time fighting people. He maybe Matt start arc after he beats the White Cloaks, then he goes and gets the Dragonsworn under control and takes them north of the borderland and holds the gap where Malkia used to be, or something. Anything other than oh my God, it's the Princess of Nine Moons and
the daughter of the 9 Moons.
Oh my God, whatever will we do about all the slavery? Nothing. Oh my God, whatever will we do with your stupid foreign customs
I like hearing about other people's customs, even if they have some freaking weird ones, like with slavery or whatever. That doesn't bother me. It's a book, it's a series. People behaving differently is okay. It's the same thing that drives me nuts about people who they're like, oh, I like the Witcher series, but I don't like the racism. I don't like the misogyny. It's like, no, that's literally part of the storyline in that regard. I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm saying that's what people argue. So I don't wish away content I disagree with because it plays a role in the story, just like in The Witcher, misogyny or hatred of sorceresses and sorcerers, or hatred of other kinds like elves and dwarves and stuff. It exists and it's fine existing, specifically because it's utilized in the story to overcome. It's for the characters to say this isn't okay and we fight against it, kind of a thing.
I agree with that. No problem there. To me, the Sean Chan
would have been if it was a finished storyline.
It's like going on a Dungeons and Dragon adventure, and in the middle of your dungeon, you temporarily get teleported to another dungeon to finish first.
So what you're saying is the Sean Chen are about as useful as the Way of the Leaf.
Yeah,
yeah.
I would argue that the Sean Chen have a better argument to stick around than the Way of the Leaf.
That's version of your Way of the Leaf hate.
I agree with you. He could have written the Way of the Leaf to Jiuto better than he did.
Yeah.
Maybe if you weren't sidetracked by writing, I don't know, thousands of Sean Chan characters. He could have concentrated more in the way of the lead.
I would rather focus on the Sean Chen. At least they're not freaking like the only stupid thing they have going for them is that they're using the people they're collaring to control the collared people. That's their stupidity right there. And if they got over that, which 2-1 has that information, and she still doesn't do anything, which is why I wanted more information.
No, they have a horrible culture anyway. Forget that. We're getting sidetracked again.
Anyway,
Circling back to this shithole episode.
I mean, to be fair, we're done, right?
We are technically speaking done.
Yeah, we are well done. We're flipped over. We're fighting on both sides. Poke us with a stick and we don't even quiver anymore. Done.
That's called dead right there. Dead as a doornail.
Did you guys see the preview for next episode?
I don't watch previews.
All I'm going to say is this.
It's Tanchico is all I know.
He's trying to form a Rasengan.
Sorry, what?
And then Naruto, the Rasengan.
Who is?
Yeah, but who's doing this?
Moraine. It looks like he's trying to form one. Or maybe you want to go to Kamehameha ball, but either way, it looks like
I think the second one is probably more likely.
It looks like he's trying to make an anime power.
You sure it's not a spirit bomb?
Well, that will be above her. She'd have her arms above her head or something.
I mean, either way, maybe if the show can rewrite it however they want because they're already doing it wrong anyway.
If you guys didn't watch the preview,
I don't watch previews.
But when you watch the episode, it's gonna go in your head. She's forming a ball of energy in her hand, and I was like, no, one hand in front of her. The way like Minato or Naruto formed a one-handed Rasengan.
Yeah, but they do it outstretched. They don't do it in front of them.
In front of their stomach or whatever. I say you go, yeah, but Rasengan.
As long as she doesn't shadow clone jutsu herself, because I don't want to see more than one of her. I don't even want to see one of her. I just want the bad guys to win because it's the only proper outcome for this series.
I want Lanfear to burn them all.
I just want the bad guys to win. I don't care how they do it. I want them to win. I was actually telling people, it's like, if you think the show is good, I'm going to give you a comparison. This show is worse than Game of Thrones season 8.
Yeah.
And that's a bar that you have to really reach for.
I don't know. I'm not.
It is.
The show has gotten so bad we could laugh at it.
Yeah.
Like I could see myself ripping like riff tracking this, you know what I mean? I couldn't do that to Game of Thrones season 8. And I couldn't do that to Rings of Prime. Like I could sit there like imagine us like when we're 70 or whatever. Hey, let's go back and riff track an episode of the Wheel of Prime, you know? And we can just brag for like an hour.
I am not touching this series after it's done.
As well.
You guys know what I mean? Like, there's so much laughable stuff in it that you can laugh at.
It's not laughable though. Like this is painful. This is seeing something I love and cherish being torn apart in front of me, gutted. I mean, its innards falling out. It's just like.
But I would not describe it as laughable.
It's depressing.
Maybe because I am so caught up on how horrible their writing is. Like their attempt, like, did you guys watch the Avatar live action?
No.
No.
Which one actually? Last Airbender or
the Netflix TV show?
The blue one. Oh, you watched the Last Airbender one
every single day of my life.
So it wasn't horrible because it had a lot of the trappings of the show. But they kept changing details that would have been better if they used the show version of events, right? But they still had a lot of the characteristics of the show, right? So whereas this, they're the only thing from the books that really is, the names. So there's not even like in Avatar.
They didn't get half of that right because they mixed people together, so you can't be accurate.
In Avatar, the show, the look is good. Like the
I disagree.
Of course you do, you contrarian you.
In the sense of live action versus animated, it works. The look of Avatar,
Yeah, but none of the characters look right.
I didn't watch it, so I can't comment.
Maybe
Aang, but yes.
Yeah.
Ong. Is Ong the Merciless?
It's Ong in Europe.
Yeah, we have our own.
There's a European Parliament.
They have their own incorrect pronunciations in Europe. Also, their incorrect measurements as well.
No. That you actually have the correct measurements. You have the wrong one.
No, that's the reason we're better off than you. We use the right measurements.
No.
We have
yes.
benches over here. We just use it in its proper place.
Yeah, we put it in its proper place. Anyway, we have next week, the next episode. Thankfully, this episode was halfway through the series already, so we're almost done. It feels like.
Oh, halfway there.
No, please don't. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know what else to go with. We'll have that planned. If you guys have stuck with us this far and you like this content, please like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff.
Why you would, but
even dislike if you would like to, because at this point it doesn't matter anymore in the algorithm because YouTube. But yeah, commenting or whatever. Thanks to all those who comment explicitly for the algorithm. I saw one of that in the previous video. They're like, commenting for the algorithm. It's like, thank you, I appreciate you. And yeah, we'll have some more of that stuff when this show is over, and peace will have returned to mankind.
No, we still have Rings of Power.
That's not coming out for a while though.
Fair.
We have time.
We'll have peace for.
I'm sure that there'll be random other things popping up, but I would like to jump into some video game reviews and stuff like that to have cool stories or something. I don't know. I'll think of something in that regard. We still have to finish our Tolkien stuff since we got like 5 or 6 left of those, which I do kind of miss those. I really want to come across another gem, but I know for a fact that there are no more gems.
We should talk about the article I linked on Tolkien.
Yeah. I also have that other conference guy who put that conference together supposed to get back with me when they figure out if they want to allow the footage of it being shown. But he's told me he'd let me know as soon as it's done. So we can go over that as well. The ecological stuff, I don't know if it's going to be what I think it's going to be or if it's going to be something entirely different. I honestly don't know. Apparently they didn't record it though, so we'll possibly see. But aside from that, whatever's going on, I know Assassin's Creed stuff's happening right now, and I want to like dunk on it so hard, but I just don't have time to make that video.
Did you see the numbers in the Steam charts?
Yeah, Steam is not doing good. Consoles is doing moderately good because it's got about 2 million in consoles and less than 70,000 for Steam.
Is that copies sold?
Well, for Steam, it's
because
I
thought they didn't specifically mention what the numbers were.
I don't know. They only show people
regardless, though, the simultaneous players on Steam are lower than those for Valorant.
Yeah, it's only 64K.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going down, it looks like, but
yeah, obviously, because it's the new week.
Guys, I got
yeah, we should probably end it.
Yeah, I'm gonna end it here anyway. But yeah, well, there's stuff I want to talk about. We'll see if I have time to talk about it, if I can find some time. But there's that. But if you guys have anything you would like to hear about or like to know about or a review or anything, please leave a comment. Let us know. You guys are awesome. Sage, you don't have anything going on, so it's okay. Matt, anything going on?
Tomorrow, Wednesday night is overbooked. I should say on Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Wednesday night is overbooked to the wrestling live stream I do. And Thursdays, Roman the Empire, we go over like a movie or pop culture stuff. This week is, I don't remember, we did.
Could you send me a link
next week? Yeah, I'll send you a link to Roman's channel.
Have you not seen Roman's channel?
I don't think so.
We only mention it like every time Matt's on.
Yeah, but I thinking I should probably look at that, but then I forget.
I will probably do a review for The Working Man with Jason Statham, specifically because I've heard really fantastic things about it, and it's the authors for that series is really based, and it's got some cool stuff in it. And it actually inspired me to write up a summary of a book that would be fun for me to write, but I probably will never write because I have lots of those. I'm a very creative guy. I just don't have time to make everything reality. But anyway, we'll go ahead and cut it there. But yeah, check out Roman of the Reigns channel on Thursdays. Roman of the Empire. Sorry. Roman of the Reigns. I'm thinking Roman Reigns from what I don't even watch wrestling, and that name just haunts me. But yeah,
he's tribal chief.
No, he's annoying, is what he is. Yeah. So, thanks everybody for hanging out, and we'll see you in the next one. So remember, walk in the light, my friends.
Farewell.
Later.